Welcome to Screencast, kind of funny's only entertainment-based podcast where we come together and talk about movies, TV shows, and streaming services. Normally, we're streamed on Fridays around 11:30, but it's not a normal day. We saw the Joker. That's what we're going to talk about.
Woo!
Yeah. If you don't have time to watch us on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, you can catch us on VOD on YouTube and Rooster Teeth.
What's the O stand for?
On?
The V?
Video?
D.
Demand.
Hell yeah.
If you don't want to see our ugly mugs while we're doing the show, you can listen to us on your favorite audio podcast services. And if there isn't one that we are on, you can hit up Tim and he'll put us on there.
He'll ignore it.
No, he'll put us on there. He's a
not
good
gonna
kid.
see it.
He gets it done. You can help support us at patreon.com/kindoffunny.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's
it.
it. That's the
how
whole
it
thing.
goes. That's
Yeah.
the show.
I'm your host, Kevin Coelho, and to my immediate right, we have Gregory James Miller.
That's me, everybody. Hey, Greg.
There it is.
I'm getting full names today.
No, just him.
Okay.
I had something else lined up, and then I messed it up. To your right, my left, one Joey, the movie bros herself, Noelle.
Hello. Thanks for the clap. I'm back from the dead. It's very exciting to be here
mhm.
in the land of the living.
How sick were you? You know what I mean?
I was in bed like all weekend.
Sounds great.
That's awful.
Yeah, but it wasn't like fun.
I hate that. Yeah, when you're sick and you get to lay in bed, or you're like, I finally can play video games or whatever. You sit there like, I can't do anything.
I didn't play video games. I didn't watch anything. I just laid there.
I like it though, because then it's like, all right, well, you're gonna have something on that like you don't care about, and you're gonna sleep, and
yeah,
it
you're
works.
gonna drift in and out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, Kevin, you said you're getting sick.
Yeah.
You are sick. What do you got? What are your symptoms?
So I had a lot of phlegm yesterday, which is kind of what's been going around,
Mhm.
and right now I'm feeling like all my muscles are sore,
Oh,
and
no.
I'm heating up.
Oh,
starting to
No,
heat
you should
up.
Go home.
I will eventually.
Okay.
Yeah. But we got a show to do.
This show right here.
A lot of stuff to talk
Yeah.
about,
Ooh,
you know?
Exciting.
First, let's do some housekeeping. Our first piece of housekeeping. We got some new shirts on the store. Bear, bring them up. There it is.
Oh, so
there it is.
exciting.
Wow.
Video games are cool, and the Nitro Rifle Association.
Hashtag cool
There it
NRA.
is. There it is. Yep.
I'm
Let me see
excited.
that
for
video
us to
games
get
are cool
these.
is really cool. Is
Yeah,
this
we've
a
had it
different
before.
color?
Yeah, it was black before with the words very
This is-
small.
this is so
now
much
the
better.
words have very
Yeah, there you
different
go.
colors.
That's lame. Boring. If you have that one,
I wouldn't go that
throw
far.
it out and get a
Okay.
new one.
Well, yeah, do that for sure.
God,
We've had so much discussion on that shirt of if video games should be on the same line or two different lines.
I like the
And
two
Andy
different
finally wore us down and put it on
Good.
3.
Good. Oh,
That
you
looks
wanted it
good.
all across.
Because I feel like video games should be together. It's like a
No,
singular.
this looks rad,
You
and
need
I
space.
want it.
I mean, there needs to be a space there. Don't
Well,
try to be
yeah,
one of these
no,
monsters
I'm
that
not
puts
that.
video games all over.
but they are. They're attached. Like
they're attached.
they should be
It's like-
together.
It's like Kevin and Cool Greg,
yeah, exactly.
I miss him so much.
He's here.
No, I know, but he's
but not
here
in the
with
room,
us.
Oh.
Yeah,
not
that's
in
true.
arm's reach.
And then another shirt that I want to bring attention to right now, the Patreon Platinum level,
Yeah.
you get
Dun, dun,
kind of funny
dun.
sirens on it are,
Dun,
and I love this shirt.
dun,
He did a
Celebrate
really
the
good
Star
job.
Wars in review with us. Get the shirt.
if you're an
not-
audio listener, yeah, it's kind of funny written like the Star Wars text, and then the sirens are on our end in between the kind of the
They
funny
got it.
like the Star Wars
I
text.
feel like they got it. They understood.
Do we ever worry about like we very clearly like, hey, this
Whoa,
is a Star
whoa,
Wars.
no, let's
shirt.
not even bring that up.
Hey, it's a
No,
Marvel
We're not
studio.
selling
whoa,
it either.
yeah.
It's just a bonus perk.
It's a
if
bonus
you're-
perk
point.
that you
It's a
get.
great
You know,
point. My
not only
apologies.
do you get all the shows ad free, you know.
Yeah, you can submit your questions too. Yeah. That's the
Exactly.
thing I was expressing to somebody on the Reddit the other day. You know, it's not
Mhm.
a $50 shirt, right? It's all this content and the thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like back in the day when you couldn't sell Mizzou tickets online, any tickets online, right? Sporting events. So what you had to do is like when the Mizzou Illini game would come around and we'd all camp out for tickets. If somebody was going to flip their tickets, they'd have to sell, I'm selling this commemorative pen. And it comes with these bonus tickets that just happen to be part of it.
Also, shout outs to our Patreon producer, Al Tribesman and David Mintel.
The mind freak.
Can you guys do the tongue thing for
Oh.
Tribesman?
I can't.
I
Can
don't
you
know.
make the
Can't.
predator noise?
Like
Close
that?
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, close
that's
enough.
way better
Yeah,
than I can
There it
do.
is.
Was that any different?
And also on here, I have, the show is brought to you by our sponsors. No one, fuck off. More about that later. There's no more about that later.
No, we're not sponsored this
Yeah,
week.
no, we're not sponsored this week.
Then it's brought to you by Kind of Funny Games Daily. Hey, do you like games news daily? Why don't you go over to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and listen to it daily?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Podcast services everywhere.
Perfect.
We have cool friends that
There
had
it
movie
is.
stars on. Why don't you have? We'll go out and listen to that.
You're really selling them on all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I mean? You got to take the opportunities you're given.
Now it's time for the news.
News. I thought we were doing what we've been watching first.
You're right.
He's sick, everybody. You got to
I
let him
am,
go.
I
You
am.
know what I mean?
Damn it.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm here for,
Kev.
Kev.
My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
All right. Miller, you watching anything good recently?
I have. I started from 0 and got all caught up on The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, you did. Finally.
Great
Someone that I can talk to about this fantastic show. I watched the latest episode last night.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Right? Yeah. They really are good at ratcheting up the tension. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? I wasn't sure how long they'd let the main narrative here build, build to a boil, and then it thought like, okay, this is happening. I don't want to spoil anything. This is happening. It's going to go on. And then it's like, no, they're actually hitting quickly and moving on and having different stuff happen.
They do a really good job also playing with like setting up people and like what drives them.
100%.
In the last episode, without going into spoilers, we see the character Gideon and kind of what motivated for him to do what he
Totally.
did, and it's like you can see that like I don't know, I think it fit perfectly on who the character is and why.
And that's
he's acting that way.
hats off to them for taking somebody as like ridiculous as Danny McBride is in everything he does.
So good.
And you start out and it's like, oh, it's Danny McBride being Danny McBride. And of course, you can imagine what that leads to. But then also giving us these real human moments with him where you're like, oh, like it's, literally defining how you do a well-rounded character. Of at first, you're like, yeah, fuck this guy. And then by the end, you're like, he still did shit, but like
Yeah.
he's human. We're all human, right? Like
Right.
nobody's perfect. You actually see him
He makes
trying.
some big mistakes though.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, totally. I'm not like sweeping anything
Right.
he's done under the rug, but I'm saying by the time we get there, you're even more like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like two of the kids are doing some interesting stuff in that family where it's like, and then the youngest one, he seems to be flying a straiter path.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love that about him. Yeah.
How did you like last week's episode or 2 weeks ago? The one where it's like in the 70s?
Is
The
that
flashback.
musical
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, like to the barbecue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
I love Brother Baby Billy, so like whenever we can get some more of him or whatever, yeah, like I'm all about it. But like again, seeing like where that all starts from, right, and where, not that they went off course, but even further, like what drove everybody apart, learning about like the matriarch, right, like who is interesting. You want to hear my? Well, I guess that's kind of a spoiler. Is it a spoiler to say like anything about she's dead?
Yeah.
Like that's literally episode 1,
Also,
scene 1.
I've talked about the show every week
Okay,
since
cool.
it came out, and these kids, if they're
Yeah,
watching,
but
they're not
maybe I was
letting me
gonna
know.
start watching it tonight.
Joey, cover your ears.
It doesn't matter. She's dead, but it's like that.
You said you were gonna start watching it last night.
Yeah, and then I
God
didn't.
damn it.
It's still number 1 on my list once I finish what I'm watching.
Watching, I like flashbacks and seeing her, right? Because I love seeing her and
Right,
John
right,
Goodman's
the
character.
dynamic.
I like seeing her evolve. Here's my hypothesis, everybody. I don't think she's dead. I think she's gonna come back, which I know sounds outlandish. Outlandish, but I was thinking about this. Like, it's one of those shows that I think about. And I was washing dishes the other night, and Jen came out, and I laid this on her. I'm like, I'm sitting here, and it's what I'm talking about. No one in this show so far has been holier than thou, has been on this pedestal like she is. She's the only person there, and I think with what they've done here, I can totally see it that as much as everybody else there has this like, they're trying to not screw everybody over, but they're out for money and
Right.
they're doing
I mean, they're trying to grow and become famous. Like,
exactly
that's all of their
I
goals.
can totally see something where it's like she rolls up in a car with a cigarette and like get in, like like what the fuck, mom's still alive, you know what I mean? Like how that actually is, because
I don't know if I'd like that.
That'd be interesting season 2.
yeah, exactly. And that's my thing is I don't think it's this season. I think it's
How many episodes are left? 2?
2, just
Okay.
like Succession,
Yeah.
which is
Oh.
killing it. And that's where this starts, right? Is like, usually it feels like Jen and I are on one HBO show where it's like every
Right.
Sunday we're gonna watch, right? And so Succession's been that,
Yeah.
obviously, and we're so into it. And I remember seeing teasers for Righteous Gemstones, and so when we were looking for something to watch with dinner, it popped over there. But of course, Sunday then got to knock out Succession's update and
I'm one episode right now behind on
dude,
Succession.
Succession's like, first off, I love that show. I know it's like for some people it's hot or cold, they don't like it or don't. Like. I love it, and
That's good drama right there.
This last episode is so uncomfortable, and I know I say that about so many Succession episodes. This one in particular, like there's for some I don't want to ruin it if you haven't watched it. Kendall does something at a presentation or at a party that is like so out of left field. Like I don't even know if you've seen clips or if you
Kendall,
followed.
no, I
Like it's like the show's going, and it's very much that the family versus Holly Hunter, right? And like what's gonna happen there, and how they're playing everybody, and then like the cruise ship stuff's boiling as well, and it's like, oh god, what's gonna go on? And then like with no tease, no nothing, Kendall gets up on a stage, and you're like, what? And it's like such a interesting break, not only for us as the audience, but for everyone in that room, because it catches everyone in the room off guard too, and everybody's like, you as an audience member and them are like, what the fuck is happening?
His character has been so complex in that show, where there's been so many like changes to it, where it's like right now I don't like how like where he is,
sure,
but also I get it.
Yeah, and you feel for him, right? That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
Like again, like I thought, I Nick started it, and it was very much like season 1.
Yeah,
like I don't like anybody in this show, and I'm like, I get that, but go a little bit deeper because you start getting, I think, reasons to like everybody, and it works both ways. Where I think Kendall started, and I'll never forget him in the back of that car with the headphones on, and like doing the punching back. And I was like, this guy sucks. And then as you go and you see him start turning, you're like, oh my god, he's actually cool. He's cool, and then he fucks it up. You're like, oh my god. And so then to come into season 2 and have him be like a fucking beaten dog.
Yeah.
And it's like I think when I watch a movie, I always say that I'm like so general public about it, where when we get in the car and Nick and Tim will talk about framing or shots or whatever the hell, I'm like, I didn't catch any of that, I just enjoyed it or didn't like it. This is one of those instances of watching it where I'm like, man, Kendall Roy, the guy who's playing him, is such a good actor, where it's like literally to go through the entire train with him, but then this time around get there and he has so few lines in the early parts of season 2, but he plays it all in his face, and the fact that he doesn't make eye contact and he doesn't look, and the way he interacts, and it's like you can see and feel that
like
he's tortured
broken,
and trapped, right? Like he can't even talk to his family about it. And that's like that hug with Shiv eventually has.
Yeah.
And then to come around from episode 1 all the way on him, to come around the opposite way now in Shiv, where it was like, oh man, Shiv's so smart and so cool. And it's like, man, she treats Tom like shit. And oh my god, and then she does everything she does this season. And it's just like,
The cousin character, I can't remember his name right now. Greg's
Greg's good.
Greg, it started and I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's so weird. And like now it's like he's playing the game.
My prediction there is like the end of Secession as Greg is named as the CEO
No way.
of Royco.
No. Joey, there's good content out there, but what are you watching?
I started watching The Politician on Netflix.
Ooh. What do you think?
I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I'm only 2 episodes in, so I'm still very early. It seems peak Ryan Murphy. Like, if you like his style of TV show, this seems like him kind of more.
What has Ryan Murphy done?
He's done like Glee and some, I think, American Horror Story stuff too.
Oh, I hate that show so much.
He has like a very specific style. And I feel like this is a lot of him. I think Ben Platt is really good. I like him as
That's
an
the
actor.
young guy from Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
Got it.
And he's done like Dear Evan Hansen and a lot of Broadway stuff too.
That show looks good. The cast looks crazy too.
Yeah, because it's them. It's Gwyneth Paltrow. It's a lot of people that I also didn't know. Jessica Lange is in it.
Oh, nice.
And she has like a fun part. I'm interested to see if I'm still gonna like it at the end because I feel like there's a lot of.
Do you know how many episodes there are?
8 episodes, which is
that's really
perfect.
good. How long are the episodes?
I think they're like 40 something
This is a really
minutes.
good, like,
yeah,
you can get through this pretty quick.
for sure. I'm excited to keep watching it. I feel like I haven't talked to a lot of people about it. I think it came out last weekend, so I don't think a ton of people have finished it. But I recommend it based on 2 episodes. There's definitely like a lot of things I wasn't expecting. That kind of the thing that you think it builds up to kind of happens in the first episode. So I'm excited to see how everything shakes out. And then Friend Zone in the chat says all of American Horror Story. I kind of forget because all the seasons are a little bit different.
This is so bad. I've seen so many episodes of it.
Yeah, Jen's been watching the Witch season, and so I've caught like a couple in there, and it was like I like horror or whatever, and but like
Coven
I don't
had no
want to be in a serialized thing. What was that?
Coven had like no stakes, and that's where I dropped off because it's like anybody who died can be brought back by magic.
Yeah, that's what
and all
I was
that
noticing
shit.
too as it went on. But I did enjoy like the zombie episode, like being a zombie person. That was cool.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates being in it seems like a real jerk, but like I like Kathy Bates.
Yeah, she's
a
great.
real jerk.
The Cinephile guy in the chat also shouts out Scream Queens, which I thought was really fun too.
I haven't watched it.
It was
another
Emma
Paula
Roberts
show.
and all those kinds of things. The only American Horror Story I ever watched was the first season, Murder House, which I really liked, and then I dropped
That one
off
was
when I did
really
Asylum.
good. Yeah.
But the new
Interesting
one
end
looks
for
really
that one.
good. 1984. It's like kids at a summer camp.
Oh,
The
shit.
trailer
It looks
is phenomenal.
When's that start?
I think
That's up my alley.
I think the first episode.
Oh,
maybe
but I
dropped.
gotta wait for it to finish and come to Netflix. Is that the deal?
It might be
that's-
on Hulu.
Okay.
It's probably on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout out. I'm sure you've talked about it to death. I finally watched Midsummer as well.
Oh.
No, that came down to
Oh.
man. Yeah, enjoyed
What'd
that.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Fucked up, right?
Yeah, really fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew that going in,
Yeah.
right? But
But I feel like the first 10 minutes gets you, like, who's the director of that?
Ari Aster.
Yeah. He knows how to set the tone, where Hereditary did the same thing. Took him a little longer. I want to say it was like 30 minutes in, where you have that like full breakdown moment
yeah.
where like people are hysterically crying, and this
Yeah.
one does it in the first like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and it just sets it up so perfectly to like things are fucked in this world. I really enjoyed Hereditary, but it's a horrible movie. You know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
one where it seems like I can see this once and kind of be done.
Yeah.
with it. I don't know if I need to revisit.
And like
that.
weirdly, it was re-released recently in theaters with like an uncut
Extra footage?
version with
What-
like
wait,
extra
which
orgy
one?
footage.
Midsummer.
Yeah.
Midsummer,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Just make sure.
Yeah.
I don't know
like
that
the-
I need.
Thank
more.
God they
Yeah.
put more of that in there, 'cause that's what I needed to see.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting like emails for like press stuff, and
Yeah.
we had like a press screener to that too, and it was like the poster was just the like top shot of the orgy scene, and it was
Jesus.
just like more footage, and it was like, I don't know if I need
want
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also went when we went to see it. We had like a very interesting crowd in the theater where it was
Yeah.
like it seemed like it was a bunch of immature people that like just could not handle
Anything.
any of
penis.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of those scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Jen had been wanting to see it forever, and we could never line it up to get
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
actual cinema. So like getting it on demand finally was good.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that now I own it forever.
Yay.
When it's a movie I wanted to see so bad in theaters, and then
Then
it's
it's
like,
worth
all right,
it.
you can only buy it. I'm like, sure,
Whatever,
15
yeah.
bucks is still cheaper than it would have been for us both to go to the movie.
Exactly. And then I also watched Ma over the weekend.
Ah, I've
Ooh.
seen Ma.
the
Yeah?
horror movie.
Yeah. Big horror fan over here.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting it from the trailers, but I think I kind of liked it overall. I'm not mad that I watched it.
No,
I
totally.
don't think it's worth buying. I would definitely
agree with
rent
that.
Where
it
did you
or
watch
stream
it?
it. I watched it at my parents' house, so we
Okay.
should probably rented it on Apple TV.
Got it.
Yeah, I rented it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of the trailer I feel like doesn't build into like what the actual storyline is, which I think is kind of
Which is,
interesting.
yeah, I thought that was cool, giving Ma more of why she's like this. But it was
Yeah.
also like a stretch too, because it kind of, if Ma would have set it up more, like that was like, it turned out this has been the plan all along. It would
Yeah.
have been like, oh, of course. Instead, it was like such a crime of convenience.
This kind of all happened.
Oh, I
and-
ran into these kids that needed alcohol, and it just turns out like, okay, well, that's an interesting take, Ma, but sure.
Yeah. I also feel like my barrier with horror movies is lower than
Of
a
course.
lot of other ones just because it's like,
It's a horror movie, yeah.
yeah. And then I think that's all I've watched. I'm behind on The Good Place. I haven't watched any of season 4 yet.
I think I'm gonna wait till it's close to done or being
just-
done and just watching it all.
Yeah.
Because again, for whatever reason, like I don't like the show, but I keep watching it.
Really?
I like some of the characters. I like the actors, but I just it bothers me. It just the first season
What
I was like,
bothers you?
it's really good until like you find out
first
what
season
the
is
twist is, and
so
then it's
good.
like, all right, and then it's just kind of rehashing the same story, and then I just don't like where the story went, but I'm curious to see how it ends. So
And it's only 4 seasons, so it's
yeah,
not like
yeah.
a How I Met Your Mother 10-season commitment of
Mhm.
who does he finally
And
end
those
up with or who's
episodes are
the
super
mother.
short, aren't they?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
23
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I've watched so far.
All right, now it's time for the news.
Really quick.
God damn it! Oh, fuck.
Just-
That's my fault. I
Yeah.
should have asked you what you watched.
Just another Breaking Bad update. Only have 4 episodes left. So I've got the last episode I watched. Jesse Pinkman came in, started pouring the gasoline all over Walter White's house. So the team up episode between Jesse and one Hank Schrader, and then Ozymandias, which I'm very excited for, and it's probably the best episode of television of all time because that's where everything goes to shit. And so I'll probably be finished with that either today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, and then I'll have a good week and a half to rewatch season 3 of My Hero Academia to prep for season 4's premiere next Saturday. So I'm very excited about that.
I also forgot to talk about what I've been watching, which is just Avatar seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Fantastic goddamn show.
Fuck,
God,
it's
it's
so
I
so
never
good.
watched it.
It's really good.
James
I
Cameron
really enjoyed it.
optioned that into a cartoon?
All right. I'm cutting Greg's mic off.
You know, when the Avatar movie came out, I told Tim that he should dress up as
Nice.
the last Airbender.
Airbender, yeah.
There you go.
It was no stupid.
Yeah. It,
He doesn't understand comedy. He never has.
But didn't he like paint himself blue or something?
Yeah,
or
it was really
something?
dumb.
What an idiot.
Man, latex paint, hard to get off. That's what he found out.
Like latex paint.
I don't know. He's
You're
so
a dumb
dumb.
kid. You go
He's
there,
so dumb.
go to the hardware
He was
store.
not a kid at that point. All right, now, finally, time for the news.
News.
There it is.
Wow.
Our first news story.
Not energy out of bear there.
Yeah. Space Force TV series adds more cast members, along with Paddington director Paul King. Has anyone seen Paddington?
No.
I've heard.
No, but everyone talks about how good Paddington 1 and 2 are.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for them
Paddington
to be
1 is
streamed.
like the most pure fucking content that you could ever put into your veins.
Did you watch Peanut Butter Falcon?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Did you?
that's pretty
Oh, yeah.
pure.
Have you
Yeah.
watched Paddington?
No.
Yeah, so you can't talk fucking.
I'm
you can't-
I'm
just saying,
asking as a comparison.
You can compare though because you haven't seen both.
No, but
I
I'm
have seen
asking
both.
you about a comparison.
Yeah, I don't like. I love Peanut Butter
always
Falcon.
tense.
It's one of my.
It's always like this.
It's one of my favorite movies this year. But
Yeah, which
like
is crazy.
but Paddington is just fucking so wholesome. I have not seen the second one yet, and that's definitely like that's on me. And like Alyssa and I have to like figure out a night where we just like sit down and watch it because that's what we did with the first one, where we rented it and then we were blown away by how great of a movie it was. So I
Well,
still
the
need to.
director of Paddington 2, Paul King, will be directing 2 episodes. So,
Fuck yeah!
there you go.
All right.
It's still slated for 2020, so it's pretty far away. But
Which
it's
one's
interesting.
Space Force?
Space Force is the Steve Carell
Yeah.
one where he's working with another Office writer, I believe,
Okay.
to make a new show that has to do with the Space Force that was created by Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
It's
fun.
a new agency. Yeah.
I think it'll be fun. I still feel like I have no idea. And like, I wouldn't even be surprised if whatever like pitch on it changes because I feel like it's still really early.
Similar to
Yeah.
like Parks and Rec, how Parks and Rec was going to be an Office spinoff and then
Yeah.
just became its own thing.
Thank God. The actors announced are John Malkovich, Ben Schwartz, and there was a couple other, but those are the ones
Those are the
that
big
really,
names?
really
Yeah.
shout out to me.
Have they talked about Netflix, NBC, who's picking this up?
I believe it's a Netflix show.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
and I really like Ben Schwartz.
He's the
And John Malkovich.
worst.
John
Seems like a
Raphael,
reference to
Parks and Rec.
something. Yeah.
I don't know who Ben. I don't. I can't.
He also
picture him.
he also voices
Can you
one of
Google
the
him for him?
ducks in DuckTales in the reboot.
Yeah, okay, I could use a human being
You-
photo.
It's
not
coming,
just
it's
name.
coming. Don't
You
worry
know
about
Ben
it.
Schwartz. I feel like
Yeah.
he's-
Oh yeah, I know Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
He's got such a wholesome smile. That first picture is so good.
Yeah.
He's
great.
And then John Malkovich. I haven't seen him in stuff
John
in a
Malkovich.
while.
Who cares though? John Malkovich is the
He's
man.
good
man.
stuff,
You know what I
right?
mean?
He was
Come
great
on.
in Red.
Yeah. Great in being John Malkovich.
I hated that movie.
Really?
But I think I was too young when I watched it.
Yeah, that's
I
definitely.
was
it,
probably like 11,
Yeah.
and it was just like I don't get it.
yeah.
But I'll give it another shot at some point, I'm sure. Moving on to our next news story, an exciting one for you, Greg Miller.
Crisis on Infinite Earth. Let's talk.
I didn't include
You
that.
fucking son of a bitch.
I asked if you
son
saw
of
the
a
image
bitch.
yesterday, and you were like,
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was cool. I
It's
loved
been
it.
Did
we've
you
been
put it on your Instagram?
yes. There's been just a bevy of treasures for us
I
all
don't
week
follow
long
you on
with Brandon
Instagram.
Routh being out there in the Kingdom Come Superman suit, let alone being with Tyler Hoechlin, let alone then Smallville's Tom Welling being back in Smallville with Erica Durant's Lois Lane, then having the photo of him with Tyler Hoechlin in their Lois Lane from
not the
Supergirl.
story
Are
we're
you
talking about.
fucking kidding me? Let's fucking go.
I think I blocked you because you were talking shit about maybe the Slytherin.
Or
Did
Muggle,
you
yeah,
actually
one of the
block
two.
people?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Nick's blocked. Kind of funny vids, blocked. I'm sure that was Barrett.
Bravo. What was the tweet?
Just a bunch of snakes.
No, I think
No?
that might have
It's
been-
either you or Andy. It
that
wasn't
was
me.
probably
Must have
Andy.
been Andy.
Yeah.
Good job,
Alright.
Andy. Raised for
Andy,
Andy.
smart one, not to do it from his regular account.
I know. Sorry, the second news story is Amazon Alexa will now feature Samuel L. Jackson's voice.
Oh, this is big. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I told Jen
Are
immediately.
you getting this?
Oh God, you kidding me?
Yeah,
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 100%. It's what 99 cents if I buy it when it first launches.
Yeah, the
From there
update.
on out, it's like $5 or $2 or something like
Is
that.
it really? I
Something like
didn't
that.
realize it was a.
There's a price increase. I forget how long after, but yeah,
Either
totally.
way, I think it's totally worth it.
They're also saying they're gonna have different actors too, but they haven't announced who.
It's that thing
Give
where
me Jeff
Samuel
Goldblum.
Jackson?
I'm so in on Amazon Alexa, right? That it is that question of, do I want to buy the glasses? And the answer is no. Because when I saw them, I was like, oh my God, thinking you'd have the heads up display like I want, like from Google
Does it not?
Glass. No, it's like Alexa's in the frames.
Oh,
So it would
that's
just
not
be
as
like,
exciting.
No,
Alexa,
that's
set a
dumb.
reminder. Alexa, I'm like, I got
You
fucking
do it with
Siri.
your phone,
Yeah, I can
right?
yell Siri anytime I want.
Yeah.
But now it would be Samuel Jackson talking right to me. That'd be cool. You can listen to your music
Does
through
it
them,
talk
too.
to you?
Yeah, it's got speakers in it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I'm all about wearable
Tech,
technology.
yeah,
Yeah.
Put a chip in you on there.
Yeah. So
no,
you're-
I want him. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're gonna get this then.
Samuel L. Jackson, 100%. Yeah. Well, man, I love Alexa. I love that. I have the one. I have the tower in the kitchen, and then I have the Dot in the bathroom.
I went the
What's
Google
the
Home.
difference between the two?
Better speakers.
Okay.
I think it's that. I think there
I
might
think
be
that's-
some
I think
functionality, but I think
that's
it's
it,
mainly
yeah.
speakers. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been like, oh, did I choose wrong? Should I not have gone with Google Home? Oh, because just Samuel Jackson telling you when your timer's up sounds really cool.
Yeah. And like there'll be a explicit one and non-explicit one from Samuel L. Jackson, right? Which I feel like I'm going to start with explicit and then I'll dial it back because
Yeah.
I don't need it to be every time.
What,
Your wine time is done, motherfucker. Like I don't need that every time.
what's the thing called when like your alarm goes off and like you
Snooze.
Yeah, like I want him to say snooze me one more time, motherfucker. 'Cause that'd be fucking
Yeah,
funny.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
And then our last news story for today. An important
Crisis
one.
on Infinite Earth. So let's talk about it, man.
What do you want to say? They put
Everything
a
I
picture out.
just said.
Do you want to
did
bring
you ever
a picture out?
did you ever read Michael Rosenbaum's statement on not doing it because they wouldn't
No.
pay him
I
enough?
didn't.
You guys are-
But I
you
hate
call
Michael
this a
Rosenbaum.
They call this a fucking screencast show about Hollywood. They don't know the biggest stories happening.
Michael
out there?
Rosenbaum insulted me to my face. No, I didn't.
He
It was
loves
so
you.
mean.
He loves you.
No, the important news story that I want to bring up is Clerks 3.
Oh,
It's happening again.
I still don't know this. You said this today, but I haven't seen a link. I haven't read anything about it.
So there was an Instagram tweet which I didn't put there, but I have I pulled a quote there. Basically, Kevin Smith was hanging out with Randall.
There was an Instagram tweet.
You're right. It was an Instagram post. I'm tired, man. My face is so hot. I'm trying to be cool about it, but I'm dying.
God damn it! If I get sick because of you,
No, it
you
wouldn't be
haven't
because
gotten
of
it
me.
yet.
I got sick because of Joey. Joey got sick because of Gia.
okay. Well, now you've brought it to the table with me. You know what I mean?
Barrett
We
also
didn't-
has it. He's
Barrett's
fighting
been
it
sick
right
for
now.
like a month at this
Barrett's
point.
always sick.
That's not true.
We're concerned about you, Barrett.
The last time I was sick before this weird bout of being sick, I feel really bad was at the beginning of the year. So I'm gonna,
Barrett, you remember when you did that thing where you reviewed the Blink 182 album every day?
yeah.
Sick in the head. See, guys, he's sick in the head.
I think he was sick normal too.
Oh, real.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Back to the news here.
Clerks 3 happening. Randall was hanging out with Kevin Smith. And we talked about making a movie together. It'll be a movie that concludes a saga. It'll be a movie about how you're never too old to completely change your life. It'll be a movie about how decades-spanning friendships finally confronts the future. It'll be a movie that brings us back to the beginning, a return to the cradle of civilization in the great state of New Jersey. It'll be a movie that stars Jeff and Brian O'Halloran?
Horror.
Yeah. With me and Jay supporting. It will be a movie called Clerks 3. Oh, so he just started writing it. And
Yeah.
he was like, I literally started it tonight. He's rewriting it. He's scrapping what he
Right,
had
because this
before.
is if memory serves right, and I want you to fill in the gaps here.
I'm here.
He had written a Clerks 3 script.
Mhm.
Randall was the holdout, right? Because Miramax or whatever it was, production company, owed him money on some contract they never gave him. And
Did
so
he actually? I don't think Kevin Smith ever said who the holdout was. I think it was very clear that it was
Yeah,
Randall.
okay, that's probably true.
But
then.
he
That's
was just
probably
like,
true.
someone's holding out, and we can't do it unless we move,
Yeah,
unless we
yeah.
have everyone. And nobody wants a Clerks movie without Randall.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then I guess and then he did the script. They started doing reads. I remember they did a big thing where they did a reading of it, where you could go watch it, and now you can buy stuff on the shop from it. And then now it's back, I guess.
Yeah, this is exciting news. I know that Clerks has the possibility of Clerks 3 has been around for a while, and then it's kind of gone away. I enjoyed Clerks 2. I
Me too.
love Clerks.
I mean,
And
you
if
know
we
that
get
I
a
love
Clerks
Kevin
3,
Smith.
fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, I'll be there opening night. It's not a movie I'm dying for. It's it's like I don't know. It's such a weird thing of Kevin Smith movies with me because they were such a defining part
Yeah.
of my junior high school, college days, right? Where I mean, for real, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma. I watched over and over, and they were the first DVDs I ever bought. I watched all the commentaries multiple times. I did so much shit with those that I know those movies backwards and forwards. And I remember when Clerks 2 finally dropped. Do you remember what year that was? Ballpark
Clerks
even?
2,
Yeah. Joey's already looked into this.
2012.
Really? Was it that
I don't
late?
know. I'm really bad with years.
2006.
2006.
Way off. Way
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
There you go.
You figure I was I had already graduated. I was
sounds
working
wrong.
the
I was
paper.
16?
I was already married to my first wife. I hadn't moved here yet. You know what
I
I
was
mean?
in 6th grade.
Awesome. I was fucking doing drugs nonstop.
Okay,
saying,
all
I'll
right.
never work with the 6th grader. But it was like, I remember I didn't even see it in theaters. Like I eventually, I just missed the zeitgeist and had to get it and watch it. And I got it and watched it, but it was like that thing of, oh, it was cool to check in on these characters or whatever. And then I never watched it again. I never bought it. And granted, I think I was overbuying DVDs at that point anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, I still liked it. I remember liking it and thinking it was a good flick, but I just have never gone back and seen it again.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so like for Clerks 3 coming up, let alone a reboot coming up here too.
Yeah, right around the corner. 2 weeks away, I believe.
Holy shit, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They're doing that weird like tour
like a
or whatever.
tour,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's been confusing to figure that out.
And I don't look into things, so if it's coming here, I want to go to it, but no way to know.
Was, I think.
I vaguely remember someone being like, we should go watch this, and me being like, fuck yeah, and then that was the end of the conversation.
It might. I think it was still that we wanted to go see it.
Mm.
Just go see the movie. I don't know.
We definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
I
I've
was-
never seen Jay and Silent Bob.
Anything?
No.
Oh well, that'd be a
This-
fun one.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think this would be a fun place to start for her?
No, I'm saying to catch her up.
Oh,
Watch
yeah,
every
absolutely. I was
View Askew
pushing for a
Universe movie.
review, a skew and review.
Yeah.
It didn't
I
work
just-
out.
No.
I've seen Chasing Amy and I've seen Clerks once a very long time ago.
Okay.
Better than
But-
Lord of the Rings, right?
You know, it's
As far as I remember.
View Askew
There it
Universe way
is.
better than
I
Lord of
watched
Rings.
the whole thing, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Georgia.
Nice.
These are like in December too. So
Yeah.
yeah, if it's out in theaters, we'll be all set. 2 weeks. Is it?
That's surprising. Like I really loved Clerks 2, and like I don't know like how much like how hype I am for Clerks 3 right now because they've gone through like they were trying to do it and
We're
now
still
we're just
so
yeah.
early in the.
Yeah. But like like Clerks 2, the bulk of that movie is definitely a different movie from what Clerks 1 was, but I still really enjoyed it. And that like kind of last confrontation between Randall and Dante, where he's like, "Yo, like I thought we were gonna be friends forever," and like that whole like monologue from Randall was like. Like when I actually first watched that movie, which I think was like probably 2 years later after that, I was like, "Damn, that fucking got me in like the fucking feels right there."
Yeah, it's a great scene and like
Yeah.
so well acted by Randall. He doesn't want to be like an actual actor, right?
I'm
think
rusty
that's
now,
one of
but
those
to my
things.
knowledge, yeah, that was the thing. Is that it was never really in his cards.
Heartbreaking,
That was
'cause
something
he's
he
got
did
it.
for him.
You know,
Yeah.
his timing is so good.
Where do you? So like obviously, full disclosure, we're gonna go see Reboot. Are
Yeah,
you? Do
absolutely.
you think it's gonna be good?
So I'm excited to see Reboot to see where it lands because I haven't been a fan of Kevin Smith's last batch of movies.
Yeah.
And I haven't even.
What are you including?
So
Tusk,
Red
Yoga,
Dawn. Red Dawn
Hoser?
is I feel like the first one of his like new world that he did.
Yeah.
And Red Dawn I actually like. Was it called Red Dawn? It wasn't.
No.
Red State.
Red
Red
State.
State.
Right.
I liked Red State a lot. And then
Yeah, Tusk.
I haven't watched Tusk. And
I like Tusk.
Everyone has told
Like
me not to watch Yoga
I didn't
Hoser.
like. It's like
I want to watch Tusk. It's just one of those things that wasn't on any streaming service that I had for a while.
Sure.
I think it's available now, but also it's supposed to be really fucked up. And
It's
Paula
really fucked
likes
up.
those movies, but I'm always so scared.
yeah,
I'm so
it's
scared,
really
Joey.
fucked up. But it's like I feel like it's his best work in a while in
Yeah.
terms of like I think there's been.
Did you watch Red
misses-
State?
Which one was Red State? I can't.
Red
I'm
State
not
is the
coming up with it.
one where he's it's like the crazy religious people kidnap 3 kids that they like
No, I
get
didn't
off
watch
of.
this. I didn't watch this.
I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very different. It does not feel like a Kevin Smith movie, but it does feel it's a good
Just
movie.
Googling Red State doesn't really bring up
And that's what that
anything
was the
for
thing of what I liked about Tusk is that Tusk also doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith flick, but I mean,
But
it
I
does.
want these movies to feel like Kevin Smith
Sure.
movie. That's where I'm very curious to see how Reboot feels. If it's more kind of out there, or does it kind of get the
See,
the
that's my
vibe
problem.
behind
Is
it?
like in Yoga Hosers, I watched the trailer for, and I was like, this is not a
Mm-hmm.
movie I'd like to see. Like this just does not look good. You know what I mean? And again, to what you're saying, everything we heard from it, nobody liked it. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's one other one that we were missing that was in that weird Canadian trilogy thing he was doing. Was it Red State?
No, there was
Yoga
Moose
Hosers?
Jaws, but he
Moose
never
Jaws
made
didn't
it.
happen.
Yeah.
Yoga Hosers.
No, that's
Yeah,
literally
we
what we
said
were
that.
talking about.
Oh,
It's okay.
It's okay. I'm not mad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that for that to come off as crass for me. Anyways, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, honestly, is like I looked at that trailer too, and I'm like, oof, this doesn't look good. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't get me excited in terms
But
of
it gives me the same vibes as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back,
which I also like was not a huge
which
fan of.
I think is the weakest of all the View Askew movies.
Yeah.
interesting.
But I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia behind it, so I enjoy
Yeah.
rewatching it.
Yeah.
And I hope that nostalgia carries over with the reboot. because he's a smart guy, you know.
Yeah.
He's just really stoned all the time. I feel like
Sure.
that's been affecting the movie.
Well, I mean, I think it's more than that. It's just
Yeah.
like trying to figure out what does your fan base want from these flicks? You know what I mean? And I feel like in an era of fan service and trying to do things right, I think Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back went through the looking glass on it. Where I remember being there and being like, okay, cool. And I remember even like Ben Affleck makes a joke in Strike Back, right? Of like a Jay and Silent Bob movie. Who would watch that or
And
want?
they all look at the camera.
Yeah, want that. And it was like, oh, this is literally what people had worried about leading up to it. Of like, how do you take the two guys who are usually just the comic relief, the supporting role, they pop in for a few scenes. How do you make it about them? And you did it, and it was like, oh right. You kind of lose all the reality stuff, the heart of like what I want from a good Kevin Smith flick, which is long dialogue, conversations, relationships, all that stuff. And when you don't have that, and you're popping in for because you want to fit in Banky and you want to fit in Holden and you want to fit in, you want to get everybody in for 2 seconds. It just becomes this menagerie, which of course at the time it was meant to say goodbye to these characters, but I think it made for a great film. So even Reboot, like I'm like, okay, cool. Watching the trailer, I'm just like, I get shades of that, right? And like when the cop's yelling at him of like, put down the plants, and he takes down his pants. It's like, oof, it isn't 2001 anymore. And even then I felt like I didn't want that many dick and fart jokes from Jay and Silent Bob, right? It's the light bar thing.
It's
It falls
fun.
all the time.
It's fun.
It's time to just get rid of light bar. You know?
Or get new Velcro. I don't know. We'll figure it
You
out.
know,
Glue it in there real
both
good.
are options.
Probably that second one.
Both are options that are
Yeah.
viable.
Oops.
Anyways, I'm stoked for hearing about more news about this stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that he can he understands Clerks. Like
Yeah.
he understands what people want from Clerks. He wants a continuation and end to that story. And like he even with the
But do you feel
earlier
like
script that we
feel
got.
like Clerks 2 left it open that you needed an end? That's my thing was even
No.
like even with the end of Clerks,
Yeah.
I never felt like, man, I got to get back and see what Dante.
Oh,
is up to.
absolutely. But I think that Clerks 2 did a good job of picking up and being like, hey, here's where they're at. They haven't really progressed, and like
Yeah.
they're now like, you know, why, and you know, have them go through that.
Yeah.
And I think that Clerks 3 can do that too. And I like certainly with the old movie, he was talking about it being kind of the end of the video rental store.
Yeah, of course.
And
of course.
how Randall deals with that. And I kind of want to see that story. I just like visiting these people, and I like the little hints at the
Yeah.
other View Askew people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good universe. But that's the thing of like with Reboot, where I know it's rebooting and like
Yeah.
making fun of Silent Strikes Back. It's like, even there, we're hopping in for 2 seconds to see Banky's secret stash again. It's like,
Right.
Okay. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I get
yeah.
it, and I know what you're driving for. I'm more interested to see, like, you know, the fuck that Matt Damon's there from Dogma. Like, all right, cool. Can't wait to see what that narrative and what
he's
that
doing.
is. Like,
Didn't he die? Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
he does. He does. Yeah, no, Kevin Smith's talked about that too. Of
Yeah.
like when he said that, like I think he might have said, I'm gonna fuck this up at the first part. Either he said it or Jen said it, his wife, of like it'd be cool to have him back. And Kevin's like, oh man, it sucks that I killed him. And she was literally like, good thing I know the writer of the movie. You know what I mean? Like you can do whatever you want with it. I know you're about to jump here. I want to point out, big moment for me, is that this month, going to New Jersey to I'm gonna do the minister thing, married to my friends or whatever. I'm gonna
wanna
rent
see
a
it
car
soon?
and I'm gonna drive to the Quick Stop and I'm gonna go to
that's awesome.
Secret Stash and do all that stuff.
It's
Yeah.
very exciting stuff. Now it's time to talk about some trailers. Get some interesting ones this
Trailers.
week. Our first one, little Stranger Things
Tease.
tease. Yeah, I'm just excited. There's more Stranger Things.
Are you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
love Stranger Things. Do you watch it?
Didn't like 1, so I didn't watch it all the way through. 2, I did like. I mean, I started for the Ghostbuster costumes, but I liked and I watched it all the way through. And then 3, I was playing some game, one headphone off, playing
Interesting.
while Jen watched it all.
And then Joey, you've never watched it, right?
I watched like the first couple episodes
Not
of the
for you?
first season, which I hate because on paper it's such a Joey ass show
Sure.
and just didn't click with me. Will I maybe try it again? Maybe once I get through everything else I
feel
want
like
to
now
watch.
there's so much to watch.
Yeah, but everyone keeps talking about it,
It's
and I
fun.
feel like
It's
this
really
is just
good.
one that keeps coming back. I don't feel like it's hit like Game of Thronesy levels for me, where I know that it's not for me.
Yeah.
I think this one, like, maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace or whatever, that it didn't click, and it will now.
Barrett, Stranger Things. Does it do anything for you?
Like I love the show. Like every season it comes out. Like it's the one show I think when the new season drops, Alyssa and I will find a day, like either on that day or a couple days later, where we binge the entire thing in one night. And so like we really love it. It's like one of our favorite shows. But these like kind of every time they announce like a new season, and it's just like the Stranger Things
same, yeah.
season 4.
It's
and
interesting
the
with this one,
same
right? The
fucking
tagline of
trailer.
"We're not in Hawkins anymore."
Yeah.
Like, do we know what that means in terms of cast?
I don't know what that means for story overall. Like
Mm-hmm.
we got some teases of things going on outside of Hawkins and whatnot. So I think that's what they're leaning in towards. I don't want to say anything just in case of spoilers.
Yeah, it's a good call.
But yeah, there's like kind of like I'm referencing the very last scene of season 3 where they kind of tease something else happening. So I think that's what they're going towards. As terms of cast, I don't think they could really leave that cast. I think that's
No
like
way,
a
yeah.
main pull of that show is
No.
seeing these characters go through the struggle once a year at this fucking point. And yeah, I think we will probably get a bigger cast and like I think it'd be interesting to get kind of foils in this other place for the main cast of characters and see how they deal with that. But yeah, whenever they do these announcement teasers, I'm like, all right, fucking, I know.
They always get me so
Cool.
hyped. This one, I just that music magic to my ears, you know, gets me all excited. Let's move on to the next trailer, The King's Men. Man, The King's Man.
King's Man. This is the third one, right?
Yes, this is the third one. It's a prequel. Looks like it's gonna be full of cool
You love
action again.
these guys.
I'm a big fan of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second one didn't hit as hard as the first one,
Mhm.
but like I still very much enjoyed the second one, second movie, and I think that this prequel one is like not a terrible place for you. Like neither of you guys have seen it, right?
No.
Not
Negative.
like if you guys are interested, not a terrible place to jump in. Get you hooked.
See, I feel like I need, if I was going to, and because I've talked about this before, right? Is that the first one, or the first trailer for The Kingsman dropped, and I was like, I don't really know what this is. It doesn't seem like my kind of flick, right? It wasn't until the second one where people were like, oh, it's based on a comic book. Oh, like, look at, like, this universe they have and all this different shit. And then you were talking about it with me of, like, no, like, there's this action scene, this cool thing, and he's one. And it's like, oh, this actually got me into the thing of, like, maybe I should go back and watch number 1 to watch number 2. And then this trailer, banging soundtrack, right? War
Yeah.
Pigs or whatever. Like, that's awesome. I wouldn't jump in here. I think I'd want to go back and watch 1 and 2 to get to here.
Yeah, I don't feel like this. I feel like this movie does the least good. That's not right English. But I feel like I'm more motivated to watch 1 and 2 than I am to watch this
Good.
one.
Watch them. They're good movies.
They're really good.
I
they streaming it?
agree. I think it was a good trailer, but I
think
just
so.
don't.
I think once you like dip your toes into the first 2, then you'll be like, okay, like I could.
Well, that's the thing is like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I like the idea that there is a universe here.
Right.
And I like that idea that when you look at this one, you see already the underpinnings of where we get to with Colin Firth later on.
Yeah, and it like makes me like I'm excited to see this one, and like it also makes me more hyped for like the proper like third movie
Yeah.
and whatnot, and to see where everybody's at now. Yeah, like you said, like I'm glad that they're kind of like building this universe and stuff. Like I don't know, I might be hyping myself up too much here, but
You?
like I could see them building this universe up as like a Fast and Furious type of situation where like it gets to so fucking ridiculous, and then we get different cast of characters, and then we see them all come together at one point in one movie. I think it'd be really fucking cool.
It blows my mind that they were able to make a sequel.
Yeah.
After the first one, like the ending has some major implications of like stuff that happens.
Oh, yeah.
And then like the sequel's just like, oh yeah, these things happen. And the world they create is so fantastic, and like the way things are shot, the like crazy
I like the
special
style
effects.
of the
yeah,
first 2,
it's
even
really
just
cool.
from trailers.
Yeah. Stoked about this
When's it
particular
out?
trailer. I don't know. I didn't write
Okay.
down the date. My bad on that one. But this next trailer, I don't know if I'm so hot about it. Birds of Prey.
Oof.
Eesh.
Birds of Prey and
Yeah.
the emancipation of the fantabulous.
I think it's the Fabulous Emancipation, yeah.
It's a terrible fucking name.
Ewan McGregor looks really cool in
Kingsman's
it.
Ewan
not out
McGregor.
until February 2020.
That makes sense.
Seems
Why is the
such
trailer
a
out so
long,
early?
Yeah.
They drop trailers all. Isn't Birds of Prey is February as well?
Yeah, but I feel like that's a movie they're really trying to push, you know?
I think they want more from King. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Terrible name. And yeah, I'm not, you know that I'm
But I mean,
DC
it's
fanboy
Birds of
number
Prey,
1, right?
right?
I'm the only idiot who likes Batman v Superman, all this shit. Yeah, this trailer, dude, is like, oh.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor, yeah, outclassing everyone in it. Now, granted, he's Ewan McGregor. I'm not trying to take away, but it's just
exactly.
like he looks like he's like fucking
He's given.
He's
the
Michael Jordan
performance-
playing street basketball against 5-year-olds. You know
God,
what I
I
mean?
love
Like
him
it just
so
does.
much.
Like the movie literally looks like, hey, you felt like Aquaman, right? In even Wonder Woman to an extent, but Aquaman was definitely like, hey, we're moving away from the DCEU. This will be their own thing. Blah blah blah. You watch this, and this looks like. If I had gone into a coma after Suicide Squad and woken up and watched this trailer, I'd be like, oh, how did Justice League Parts 1 and 2 come out? You know what I mean? Like this, I can't believe we're still going. No, we're not going, but we're doing this thing that's heavily anchored in there. And one of the few things I think anybody positively could say about Suicide Squad was like, oh, Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's cool. You know what I mean? This, now that they're trying to prop it up with just her, now you look at it and you're like, no, this is still the same problem of it's not. And I don't mean to be this guy. She's not being Harley Quinn. She's clearly trying to be the Harley Quinn we know from the animated series and now the comic books and what that voice is and all those different things, but it's just not working. Like she sounds like I was talking to Barrett when we watched the trailer together. I'm like, I'm not trying to bag. She's a talented actress. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bag on her. It sounds like I remember when we did Guys and Dolls in high school. And it was like, you're all from New York. Oh, and then we all started trying to talk with these bad New York accents, right? Like that's what it's giving me vibes of. And especially, and it might be specifically the way the trailer's cut, where it's that song playing throughout, and then they're ADRing in the clearly snippets of what they've said in the movie to put it in there. And it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't look good.
I think this is a bad trailer in the sense that like that I don't know what tone it's going for.
Right.
Because it seems like, oh look, it's gonna be fun, and then all of a sudden it gets really serious with that song, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be a real gangster movie, and it's like, I don't know. Like it's weird that you're coming out of you're coming out. The first thing we're like really seeing, because the little teaser didn't give us anything.
Sure.
And it's just kind of like, what's this movie gonna be?
And it's the same thing too as obviously again, like I've grown up being a DC fanboy. Like I love Harley Quinn. I know that like she does have mainstream appeal. Does she have enough that you watch this trailer, and even me, I'm like, all right, that's Maxwell Lord. All right, that's Hunter. Like it's not like these aren't characters right? So it's really just it's Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Does that mean it's like literally like the little diagram of like, does that matter to you or does it not matter to you? And then once you get past that first, it matters to me. What else about this trailer looks great? And it's the same thing I've had with Harley Quinn in general. Now I think it was able to get around it a little bit in Suicide Squad because she was it was an ensemble thing, right? But for her in this movie, it's like Harley. The way we know Harley, right, and especially comic book Harley nowadays, is like, not even nowadays, but like she's more Deadpool, right? Where her being crazy and saying crazy stuff and doing different things, like it's so weird because it's not happening usually in that situation, but she somehow gets out of it. Like her conversation with the girl in the car at the end when she's driving, of like, bah, don't call them chicks, call them sometimes bitch. Can you throw this? It's just like, what? It sounds like my aunt talking. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get what we're... Like, it just doesn't work for me at all when I look at it of like, that's a movie I want to see.
That's a weird scene, but I did like the dynamite stick.
Yeah.
This is a movie I want to like so bad, and I want it to be good, and I'm just not
Confident.
on board with it, which maybe is good. Maybe I need to have my expectations rock bottomed, essentially.
How much higher can they get for DC movies, though?
So that, like... I'm going in and just enjoying it potentially. I don't know. I mean, I watched it like an hour and a half ago again for the second time, and I still like don't really. None of it seems like particularly memorable, which is a bummer because I like Margot Robbie, I like Jussie Smollett, I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like Ewan McGregor. Like it has all of these good pieces, and they just don't seem to be fitting
and maybe
together.
hopefully it's just the trailer.
Yeah,
but I doubt it. But maybe. But again, it's because we all been burned so many times.
The opposite Suicide Squad.
Right, where Suicide Squad trailers we watched like this movie's gonna be great. Finally, and oh god, it's worse than ever.
So upsetting.
I'm still gonna go see it.
Yeah, no, totally.
But,
that's what I was ranting and raving about it to Jen about how it did not look good. Yada yada. I'm like, I'll still be there opening night. She's like, you're the problem. Like, I know, but I gotta support the team. I gotta support DC. All right, I gotta see
her
what's
jacket is so cool.
Yeah.
It's all fringy.
Yeah.
and stuff.
No.
So cool.
Her style of
I don't know what
Harley is great.
What were they thinking with that first teaser?
With
Of
all
her-
the
the
flashes, yeah.
And it's just like, set such a bad tone. Oh, we'll see if we get a better trailer later on.
It's interesting. Me and Barrett were talking about it, and Barrett was. What did you say? You were thinking that like, oh man, I think it's gonna end with her having to get back together with the Joker at the end.
Yeah,
right?
like I got a weird vibe because they already had like a weird messaging of what their relationship was in Suicide Squad. So I had like this really bad gut vibe that the like quote unquote like moral of the story or whatever is that she needs the Joker and some shit because there seems to.
I doubt that's the route they're gonna go.
Yeah, there's just already been like bad takes about their relationship in this universe already that like it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. They're definitely gonna like that's going to be a like main factor in like where she's at.
That's where it
story.
starts, I think, and I think that this is like the one thing I took away from the trailer, hopefully too, and it's a hope, not in that we all know how that turns out for me in DC movies, but. It's going to start there that, me and, literally as the movie started, me and Mr. J broke up, right? And so it'll be this thing that by the end, we're going to get to what Harley is in the comic books now, which is this independent character. Hopefully by that point, Margot Robbie's had now 2 hours to own this character and show you what her interpretation is, because I don't feel coming off of Suicide Squad, I have one from her, let alone what I saw in the trailer, right, of where this is actually going to net out.
All right, before we talk about the Joker, I'm going to just tell you what is coming out on Netflix and other streaming services like Hulu and Amazon. We've got Bad Boys on Netflix, Bad Boys, and Bad Boys 2.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
When's that one coming out? 3?
January.
The first trailer
Yeah.
dropped. Okay.
And then also in Netflix is In the Tall Grass, which comes out October 4th.
I'm very excited about that.
I'm very excited about that
Which
as
one's
well.
that?
That's Stephen King.
Everyone
it's like
kind
the
of walks
family in
into
like
a
a
field.
cornfield
Yeah,
because
and
their
like-
kid gets lost.
Is it new or is it?
Yeah, it's new.
It's based on a
Okay.
short story by
It's a
Stephen
Netflix
King.
original.
It looks really good. It has Patrick Wilson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Lying in bed.
From,
just like
Watchmen.
Patrick Wilson.
On
No idea what you're talking
on
about.
Amazon Prime, we have AI, Artificial Intelligence, a movie I enjoy so much.
Movie I forgot about.
Yeah,
Just
it's-
completely.
Well, now you had a chance to watch it on Amazon Prime. And then on Hulu, we have The Wrestler, a movie I've never watched that I've always heard good things about.
I have two.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Marissa Tomei. It's a good one.
Mhm.
Highly recommended.
And then out in movie theaters near you, we have Joker, which we'll talk
Talk
about
about.
momentarily. Lucy in the Sky, really interesting. Natalie
I wanna
Portman
see
movie.
that.
Yeah. We had screeners for that, but it was like at 1:00 on Monday, and it was like, well, why would
Not
you?
convenient.
No, yeah, it's not gonna work. And then Dolomite is My Name is releasing in selected movie theaters.
When does that come to Netflix?
I don't know.
I guess I could look it up.
Please, yeah, I have no idea. I don't want to.
I don't know that. I think because I know it's coming to Netflix, it won't be one that I see in theaters. Not to mention that currently it's only playing at Marina Theater. According,
Yeah, not an AMC theater. We're
yeah.
not going. While Joey looks that up, I'm gonna go over your topics. The bronze tier level on Patreon. Last week we asked you for Joker reviews, not knowing that the show was going to be on Wednesday.
Sorry.
So not a lot of reviews. Can you give it to us for next week? Tell me what you thought about the Joker. Remember,
Have a
keep them
whole
spoiler
week.
free.
and I have to see it.
Yeah, plenty of time. Keep them spoiler free and nice and short. 140
October
characters.
25th for Dolomite.
October 25th. Still a
Not
little
for a
ways
while.
away.
Quite
I'm
a
excited to see that one. That looks great. Couple people wrote in with some different opinions and thoughts that they wanted to share with us. Jacob Meyer, a.k.a. YKM. Thoughts on DC Bird of Prey trailer. Really not a fan of the style. Looks like Scarface, which is awful, but with Harley Quinn.
What?
Scarface is awful?
Scarface is a
Yeah.
great movie.
Yeah,
This
what-
does not
Yeah.
look like Scarface.
But I get what he's saying. Like, there's certain scenes in there where like it seems like it's emulating one of those movies, like Gangster.
Sure.
Yeah. Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth aren't enough to save this one. Well, we'll hope you're wrong. Yeah. We also have the nanobiologist who says, I wanted to give my review for Screencast, but you guys saw it. Wait. No, I think he miswrote there. He wanted to review
He wanted to
Joker.
give his review for Screencast, but
Oh, got it. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Push Screencast early, so I'm reviewing your guys' tweet about the movie. Greg's short and sweet tweet gives a lot of mystery and convinced me to tune in, but with little substance. 6.5 out of 10.
I'll take it. Okay. It's an okay tweet.
Joey, also quick, but she's telling me it's thought-provoking.
I stand behind that.
Makes me think this movie will linger on everyone's mind for a while. 8 out of 10.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Kevin gives his opinion on the movie and one that is different from The Room's. His tweet tells me that the DC universe can be good, edgy, unlike its past movies. 9.5 out of 10. All right,
Damn,
did
wow.
pretty good.
Jeez
Did pretty
Louise,
good.
That's
yeah.
Great job, Kev.
Thank you for tuning in to the nano review of other people's tweets who saw the movie early.
I love it.
Shout outs to you. That was good. All right, now let's talk about some Joker.
So we're starting spoiler free. We will be very clear when we go into spoilers.
Yes,
Got it,
absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
For people watching live, I'm going to put up a spoilers, bro, and I'm also going to change the title to spoiler warning for everybody like coming in and all that stuff. So
For people not watching live, there will be YouTube time codes.
yep,
You know, and we will yell spoilers, and
But
that's when you
spoiler-free
can
to
go away
start
and come
with.
back.
it'll pretty much be the entire end of the
I
show.
hope you're happy, Corey Barlog.
So
He just tweeted me going, I thought you were going to talk about Joker.
Oh.
Because he's watching live and he's like, this is going on.
I didn't know Corey was watching. This is really stressful now.
Yeah,
I respect him a lot.
don't worry about it. He's not playing another
I
game
don't
for like
respect
5
him.
years.
Goddamn hippie, you know.
Exactly, right?
But let's. What are our initial thoughts, Greg?
When it ended, right, and when we were watching it, I knew we'd have these conversations. So you start thinking and formulating your thoughts, right? And what I've come away with to talk to people about is that I don't think it's a movie you can say you enjoy, right? It's not
I
an
agree.
enjoyable movie, but doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Like I liked it. I like that it's thought provoking, like we've talked about. I like that we'll get to it in the spoilers of like the different things we've walked away with these different things. For me, and with the way I got home and I was talking to Jen and you guys in the car about it, right? Like it feels like a DC Black Label comic where they're like, here's this, it is a Joker origin story. It is not going to pull away. It isn't a comic book movie, even though I do think it uses some convenient like comic book leaps of faith that you wouldn't work in a comic you read and not really think about.
Right.
But in here you watch and you're like, is
How
that
did we get
really?
there? How did we
is that-
get there?
Is that really what would
Yeah.
happen? But okay. It's Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic.
So good.
I think there's leaps in logic in there for sure. I think the world and Gotham they've built is really, really special. Like it does feel it again, like reading a comic. It's like reading Watchmen, where it's like, poof, this is 80s, like right, or maybe even late 70s.
They
right?
really nailed that.
You are in a time period, and they never throw it in your face. They never give you a date, but all the TVs are 4x3. Nobody's got a cell phone. You're like you get where we're at, and I think in the style even of what's happening is really well done. It does like you talked about. Like this isn't a spoiler. It starts with there's this garbage strike in Gotham, right? And so it sets up
really sets the tone.
It really sets that
cool.
of a New York or a Chicago on the edge, right? Of like it's on the cusp of like everybody's boiling point. I think it's really well done. I do think it's. I don't want to say awesome. Like I'm trying to stay away from the real positive adjectives because it's not a positive movie. It is a disturbing movie. Like when it ended, I was like, "That." You were like, "How? What'd you think?" I was like, "That was horrifying." Like
I felt uncomfortable watching it pretty much the whole
exactly.
movie.
And so it's that weird thing of a space we're usually not in when I think we talk about the movies we enjoy or see, because it is so rare to get. This is a villain's origin story. There is no redemption here. You know what I mean? They're really, and this isn't a spoiler, really any comeuppance, right? Like we don't a Batman story, even if you're getting a Joker animated film or comic book, eventually Batman wails on him and punches him in the face and like beats him, throws him in Arkham, and you feel like justice has been served. Whereas we really don't get that in this thing. Not that I'm spoiling the ending whatsoever. I liked it. I liked it. It's a lot to think about. I enjoy that that it's a movie to discuss with people. I enjoy that it is a non-comic book movie where it is taking source material, playing with it, honoring it in many ways, and staying true to it in many ways, but not being a beat you over the head Easter egg reference here. Here's how we're tying into universe. Here's a horrific tale we're telling you, and the credits roll and you walk away with it.
Yeah. I haven't been this internally conflicted about a movie, I don't think ever.
Wow.
Potentially. Not that I can think of like off the top of my head in the
Do you
last
watch
12
Last
hours.
Jedi?
Yeah, but
That's
Let's move away.
binary.
I'm joking. Let's move away quickly.
Star Wars also isn't like I liked it, but I don't
He
feel
said move
super
away.
strongly about it. I feel like I like what they did to build the like dark, gritty DC world universe, and I think it would have been really cool if that's how the DCEU would have started to
Sure.
kind of separate itself from the more fantastical elements of Marvel. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe we needed. Like we can't say what those comparisons would have been like without the things that we
Sure.
got, and maybe we wouldn't have liked that then. Or maybe I only appreciate it because of
What came before?
what exactly. I liked that, and then I wrote notes because I knew I was gonna forget stuff.
If I can jump in here too,
Yeah.
one of the reasons, and non-spoilery, and I swear it's not spoilery, but like one of the things here, like what you're talking about of like I think even with DCEU, right, they were trying to be gritty, right? In this, I think people watching the trailer for this on the outside, you'd be like, oh man, it's getting back to being like a Nolan movie, right? This is so much more grounded than Nolan even was. Where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about spoiler part of this later, but like, you know, like Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Like all these different knives, and he's fucking crazy. Like this Joker is a weak man, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not this super villain at any point. And like even Joker in the comic books where it's like, yeah, Batman punches him in the face and he drops usually or whatever. It's still like crazy gas and this, that, and the other, blah, blah. Like this is so tried to be pulled from the headlines.
And then I actually liked the way that they used music in this movie too.
Oh my God, totally.
Super cool.
It's
I think
a banging soundtrack, which then again is a weird thing to be in the streets,
Yeah,
like wanting to dance. Like, oh fuck, that's not.
And I think that's how they
what you
kind
wanna
of
do.
incorporated some of those elements while staying hyper realistic. I feel like I'm split 50-50. I really like those things, and then I really didn't like some other things that they did. This movie, more than anything in recent times, I'm very interested to see what the general public thinks, because I think we've seen a lot of reviews of 10s out of 10s and stuff like that. I personally don't feel like it's a 10 out of 10 movie. I think it's good, and even that I'm kind of a little bit wishy-washy on as I process through it.
Do you think it's because it's so different that it's hard to put words to it? Because here, stick with me.
Okay. When
When we walked out, I was of the same vein of like, there's no way that's a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Is that a perfect movie? Which, of course, then I got to put on my video game side of it.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, 10 out of 10 isn't a perfect game, right? It's a masterpiece. And is this a masterpiece? I don't know if I'm qualified to say that, but it is a movie that like, how many times do I, like, you mentioned, oh yeah, I saw Ma, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw, and I haven't talked to anybody about Ma.
Yeah.
Because we watched Ma and went to bed, and I woke up and didn't think about Ma again.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it is like, I woke up, like, I went home last night, not like sick to my stomach, but like you're saying, conflicted
Turmoil,
wrestling. I talked it out with Jen, and I woke up this morning excited to see it again on Thursday. Not excited like, oh, it's gonna be so much fun, but excited to be like, what did I miss? And what are these other clues? And this, that, and the, like it is a think piece in a way. And so if it's achieving that, and it's making me, again, I always say for movies, I'm such a, Joe Q public guy. If it can give me that kind of feedback or loop on a thing where I actually want to sit there and discuss and argue about what I saw in the ending and what you guys saw in the ending, like there's something to that I think makes it harder for us to go put the normal 10 out of 10 on it and be like, what a great uplifting yada yada.
That's like a less quantifiable trait.
But
something.
like for me, one of the most standout things that I'm not spoiling. I know people get so sick of me saying that, but I always want to make sure people understand I know what I'm playing with here. Is a sound effect at the end. I want to talk about like I guess it would be like 3 or 4 distinct sound effects that are like still echoing in my ears in such a that's not how I am with movies. That's not how I consume movies. Kevin?
For me, I'm in an interesting place where I feel like, do I think it's a good movie? I don't think that I think it's a good movie. There were certain things where it's like I didn't necessarily like the pacing of it. I felt like certain scenes were slow and drawn out, yeah. And those scenes often end with reveals that are so predictable that you knew way earlier that like, oh, this is where they're going with it. Great. And
the movie telegraphs a couple of different things that then they get to, and you're like, oh, well, okay,
yeah, like,
you kind of gave it away.
It's not a big moment.
I didn't yeah.
However, I do think it's a very unique story. Like, I don't know.
It's a unique movie.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
but it, like, also, like, this origin, to me, feels very, like, new. It's not something that I mean, it, like, touches other origin stories that we've seen, but at the same time, it's different. And I really like the vibe that it's set up for this world, where it's like it made Gotham feel dark and gritty, but like it didn't do it all at night, Like it was, things were happening in the daytime that set the tone of like, this is an awful place to be.
Yeah.
And also just like where society is. That being said, I felt like it was really pushy with its message.
Of course.
Where sometimes it felt really heavy-handed and like coming out of left field, where it's like, I don't think that this is the way the world would react to this.
Yeah.
There was a lot of giant leaps in logic.
Yeah, leaps in logic.
And there's a lot of on-the-nose dialogue.
Yep.
Like, you didn't need, okay, all right, I get it. You didn't need to literally say it.
That being said, I feel like the acting is
fantastic.
Really fantastic. Joaquin Phoenix really did a great job, and I like the tweaks that they did to this Joker. and I think that some of them really built the tension really well.
Yeah.
But this is not a movie that I'd be like, hey, you have to go watch this. This is a movie like, hey, do you like Batman? Do you like the Joker? Like, do you want more of that? Great, then go check it out. But and like,
you wouldn't recommend it to a non-comic book fan?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, because it seems so disjointed. If you don't know, like, if you don't have like a goal at the end, like to get to the Joker, to see him come out and be like,
I'm the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also kind of hard to recommend if you're outside of like the comic book world too, because if it is a standalone, there's no longevity, then you just have less buy-in, I think, if you don't already have a tie-in, I think it's hard for a one-off to kind of walk into it. Rabbit on Strike in the chat says, there's no way it's not good considering how you guys are chatting about it. I think it's way easier to talk about the things that we liked or appreciated about it spoiler-free than it is the criticisms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's maybe some of that.
I think it's just, and I mean, I'm still wrestling with it as much as anybody else is, right? I just think it is so different.
Yeah.
It is not, with the exception of something like, I don't even fucking know. I mean, Falling Down with Michael Douglas, maybe like the really intense parts of American History X. Like, I don't know of another movie that makes you squirm, but then never, Michael Douglas, right? He has a kid in it or whatever, and like there's kind of like a reconciliation at the end, and like there's a cop that talks, like there's like a good guy.
Do you compare it to like Hereditary or anything at all? Because that's the only thing of recent time.
No, because Hereditary, like I felt like we were on our toes of like what a shitty situation. We were behind that boy for so long, right? The teen kid, where it's like he's us and he's the good guy, and what's gonna happen? How are we gonna get out of this, or what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Whereas like this, there's never a moment of like, oh, maybe it won't happen. Like the best moment of maybe it won't happen is like, well, I know this is supposed to be standalone, so literally anything can happen.
Right,
maybe, maybe this is just he does whatever he does and then fucks off or gets killed by the cops or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of my biggest, I think, problems with this movie is that, like, man, I really wish that like the DCEU could have started here. Like, it would have been so interesting for them to have created this world and then followed through with it. Yeah. And I just feel like it might be a little too wait. We'll see. Well,
who knows?
Yeah,
I know Todd Phillips said no, this won't tie into Pattinson's Batman. No, there won't. I think he said no, there won't be a sequel.
Yeah.
Barrett, do you know? Can I get a search on that? No, anybody? Well, I can Google it.
Yeah. But it's just there's a lot of things this movie does that I like, but I don't think that that's redeeming enough to make me forget about the stuff.
Yeah. Bustle says, "Will Joker get a sequel? Not if director Todd Phillips has his way." Which makes sense, I think. Yeah. In terms of like,
but I kind of would want a sequel. But here's my thing: is like, and again, I get what you're saying about the. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please, no.
And I get.
No,
what
please
you're
tell
saying.
me what I'm saying.
Where it's just like I feel like making a sequel. What you've said is making a sequel to this is like you're perpetuating this dark, fucked up story, and like it's meant to stand alone. But like, I kind of want to see where they would go with that.
See, the struggle we have here is multifaceted. Number one, it's the fact that the DCEU started or is what it became, right? Because they tried to not be Marvel but make Marvel movies. Yeah. So they can't be all happy-go-lucky. We have to kind of do with it, but they didn't go with. Nolan was too close to be like it needs to be completely grounded. So they got into for some reason were like Zack Snyder make 9 movies, nobody will care. Yeah. And then like 4 movies in, like fuck. Now that we're here. I do think that these taking what works or worked for a long time, it doesn't work anymore because people are over them. But the animated movies and putting them on screen work so well. Of like, here is an Elseworlds book. Here is this one thing. You don't need to know anything. Come on in, because I think that is the answer in many ways to the palate cleanser that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like what I was talking about on the walk with you guys last night. The problem we have with this is with there being no comeuppance, right? And Joker's it's a movie about a bad guy, and we go through and we're the bad guy. That works great in comic books with Black Label or whatever, because guess what? At any point I can turn to the shelf and there's 15 Batman, Superman, Green Lantern books of the good guy. The fact that DC doesn't have an answer to here are the good guy movies that people like is a problem for them. And I think even with Birds of Prey is the next one out. Another anti-hero Harley's in the gray area movie is not a great look either. Like they need to figure that out. Like cool, and even but that's what the most interesting stories are the ones that aren't what Marvel's doing. So it is let's make Superman Red Sun, right? Let's make whatever this Pattinson Batman's gonna be.
But I feel like in that same light, that's where I wish this was like like this had been the start, or that we get a sequel, not a sequel to this movie, but a sequel to this world.
Sure.
Like I would love to see 15 years from now, Batman. The world hasn't gotten better because, you know, things have gotten worse. Yeah, it's Gotham. Things have gotten worse. And we see how things have developed and rooted in this dark, gritty reality.
This is where we start.
Seems like such a cool concept to start in. And it's just, like, it's so disappointing that, like, that's not where it seems like things are going. Yeah.
But again, I think it gives you creative freedom and hopefully the reasons to find the success is that I don't want Matt Reeves' Batman script to now be handcuffed to stuff that happened in Todd Phillips' movie, right? It's way cooler that it is like what I always want with no continuity Superman or superhero comics. Of just like, people get it. They understand Gotham's a bad place. They understand the Waynes got killed. Tell your Batman story. Nobody understands Joker. Tell a Joker story. You know what I mean? Like, spiral off and go make cool shit like that.
To end our spoiler-free content, would you recommend people go watch this?
Me?
Yeah,
I would. And it's again not a 2 thumbs up. Like I came home and talked Jen not through the spoilery points, but I was like, I don't know if you're gonna like this.
Yeah,
because I could totally see you turning to me and being like, this guy sucks. Like, can we get out of here? You know what I mean? And the more I talked about it, the more she was into it. I think it based even I forget who said it in the chat, right? The way we're talking about it, that's a cool thing, is that the movie is that kind of discussion where it is like you step off and start talking about it in so many different levels. I saw, again, there's the 10 out of 10s. I was talking to Tamor Hussein on DM on our ride home with you guys. I saw Brian Altano tweet about it. He's like, I did not like this movie.
I was talking with Zach Ryan last night. Like, there's a lot of cool conversations around this movie that I think the last one I had this feeling about was It Follows, of like, well, it just makes you think outside of the film, and I haven't had that in a while. Yeah,
and especially and I'm not even shitting on him, I love him, but in the cookie cutter comic book movie world, right? Whereas like Shazam was fun, but it was another movie I never thought of again because it was just like I got in there and I saw it and he fought the guy who's just like him and then we're done. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like to actually come out of this and have it be that. I want to have these discussions. I want to see it again, not for Assemble, which is a great moment, right? I want to see it to go back and be like, oh my God, like what about this, that, and the other? I want to see the interactions here.
Joester, would you recommend this movie?
Yes. And even that, I'm a little bit just
Is there any
conflicted
caveats
about.
to your recommendation? You recommend?
I don't think you need to run out and see it night one. I think it is worth seeing for this conversation if you like that kind of discourse with people. I do wonder like what the experience is if you watch it at home versus in a theater, because I feel like it is so immersive in that world, and watching it at home kind of, I don't know that it would have the same impact necessarily.
Interesting.
I'm still wrestling with a lot of things.
See, I think I'm excited. One of my things is like we got there kind of late, so we were really close. I'm excited to have a further back screen. We watched an IMAX too, so it was gigantic to begin with. But a further back thing, like I think at home, if it was like lights off, quiet, and you go the whole way. If it was one of the ones, I've Purdy's got to go outside. I got to pause it. I got to break it up. That would suck. But I think the think piece nature of it, of like sitting down and just consuming it.
Yeah, it's also like it is a slow movie, so I think it uses it well at points. But just be prepared.
For me, it's like I said earlier, where it's I don't think this is a movie for the general public. I feel like if you go in there being like, oh, I'm gonna like, is this gonna get me into the Batman and the Joker and all this world? No, it's not. Yeah. So I think it is like, for me, it's if you're a fan of the Joker and want to see a cool, well, an interesting origin story that is new, check it out. It's worth going to. It's not a run to the theaters or any of that, but so I think to a smaller crowd, I'm interested to see how this does box office wise and public reception.
That's the thing I'm most excited to see, of like where it ends up falling.
And that's the thing about it too, is it's going to be interesting, not only because how much will this gross, because the predictions are through the roof, right? Yeah. It is definitely, I think it's, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm fucking around.
It's going to be one of those, the people coming out of the theater talking about it are going to be the interesting thing. Because you're right that a lot of people are going to it on the heels of Marvel, on the heels of Nolan's in Heath Ledger's Joker, which was fantastic, right? But I'll never. I mean, like
so different.
to talk about how far we've come. I remember being in the theater for Dark Knight, and when you want to see a magic trick, and, poof, and I was like,
so good.
holy shit, this is the most intense. Like that, this Joker eats that Joker, like in what I mean, like in every way. And so like,
but this one also has a lot of depth to it.
No, I understand, but that's my thing. Is like, I think if you ask my dad, who's the Joker, he'd be like, oh, Batman's villain, blah, blah. Like, I think there will be people like, oh, yeah, let's go see the Joker movie. And they're going to be in it being like,
where the hell's Batman?
This is not what I was expecting.
Fuck is this guy's
and
problem?
I think that's going to be its biggest problem. But I am curious to see that, like, just overall how people perceive it, whether it be fans and then people that are coming in to just see what's happening here.
Yeah. If I can say one more thing before we jump spoilers, right? Because we're not spoilers yet. I would recommend everybody, if you are in the mood for these kind of tales, but with a more of a redemption, or not even redemption, I guess, but more of a character, like someone you can cheer for. Right now, the DC Black Label book that's coming out is Harleen. It's a Harley Quinn story. Issue 1 is fantastic, and she's not even remotely Harley Quinn in it by the end of the first issue. So like, there's a lot of great stuff there.
All right.
Now it's spoiler
You guys
time.
ready to jump into spoilers?
Barrett, put on your music and put up the thing.
You got headphones on.
Well, I know, but can you hear me? Barrett, do you hear me? Can you hear me, Barrett?
Now,
Putting it
here's
in
the thing.
chat?
I really, really have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
So can you guys start this and I'll be right back?
Sure.
Sorry.
No, I don't. I'm not mad. I don't care. I can talk about it in Joker stuff, right?
Yeah.
What a fucking brutal film.
It was, I felt just like uncomfortable for most of it, which I think is the point.
Yep. 100%.
I think they did a really good job of it, but it was like, it's not an overall enjoyable experience.
No.
at all. So if
do you think here's where I'll start with you. Do you think it's a horror movie?
No.
I think it's a horrific movie.
Yeah, there are vague horror elements to it.
Yeah.
I think it's way more of a drama.
And that's what I think, again, why it's so hard to score, to talk about, to do anything, because I think it just challenges. And again, I'm talking as John Q. Public guy, not as Nick Scarpino. I went to movie school.
I'm not
like it just challenges. It doesn't conveniently fall into any genres.
Yeah.
It's not a comic book movie. It's not a horror movie. It's really not a thriller even.
No,
like
it's kind of a drama, kind of not.
It's a character piece, weird thing.
Yeah.
But to go back before because I want to forget it, right? Like, one of the things I talked about was even Heath Ledger's Joker was the knives in his boots and he's kicking and he's like crazy. And it was like, that's awesome. That's really, really cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And burning the money and flying out the money. For me, and we talked about this last night, leaving that theater, and for the longest time, I was like, damn, he's only going to kill 3 people in this movie. He kills 3 people on the train, right? Which sets him on the course of being Joker. And then he never, for a while, doesn't kill anybody else, right? Until he turns on his former clown buddy and then Robert De Niro there at the end. And that's a small body count for the Joker.
Totally.
But to give us the most ferocious, terrifying Joker of all time, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back to, I think villains and movies use violence so carefree that it loses the weight of it, right? Where even in like a Marvel movie, like people die. Like, henchmen die all the time and you don't really think about it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it to be the 3 people on the train, to be the clown buddy in a brutal scene of assault where you're then worried about the other clown buddy, right? And like you're not sure where we're at. You don't think. I remember being there. It's like Arthur's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but Arthur might. Like what?
Then
like,
you get the moment with the chain, and you're
oh,
man.
he's totally going to get him. And he did the like, scare
Yeah.
thing when he walked by and stuff.
Which I thought was fucking
But
hilarious.
for me, after he kills Murray, right? And this is where I was talking about the sound effects. It's the one shot in the head, which is so loud, and but powerful. Like it had weight to it, I guess. Then it was 2 in the chest, I think.
I think so.
Equally as powerful. But then for me, it was the clunk of the gun on the desk. Of like, cool, I've done what I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? It's this weird thing of like
calculated.
There's no with the thing of the Joker in the comics, right? It always is that thing of like he could kill everyone in this room or he'll kill no one, and the Joker that's gonna be funny to him. Right, but this Joker, as we're trying to figure out his rules for what it was, again, he wasn't a comic book guy of I'm going to kill everybody, I'm going to gas everyone, I'm going to blow this up. It was very much calculated. I'm going to kill these specific people. And like even when he lets the other clown out of the house, right? He's like, you were always nice to me, thank you. Like it was like you see him wrestling with his own set of morals. But I'm like talking about it ringing in my ears, like and then the ding ding, which I've already forgotten. But then the thunk. It was like the thunk of it. It was just like. This is a Joker who isn't flying around in a Joker blimp. He isn't. His custom suits that nobody can. There's not even a fucking fiber in his pockets or whatever from Dark Knight. This is a dude who got a fucking gun, right? And he's using it in a very pointed, specific way. That in the end, it's a total of 5 people killed by him. I don't think I'm skipping anybody. 3,
Mom.
1. Oh right, yeah, mom.
Right,
And then
his mom,
technically at the very end, well, I guess that's less.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, but I mean, it's, to the point of his arc here, I guess. Still a low body count. for
Still
what they're doing.
the first 10 minutes of any other Joker.
Yeah,
movie,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, right.
The first death that we see, and I'm sorry if you guys talked about.
No,
this
we didn't. We kept it.
Yeah.
I gave you some time.
So yeah, the first death that we see, it was such a shock and so violent.
You're talking about the train.
On the train where he shoots
totally.
First, I mean, we see the one guy get shot, and then there's a beat.
Yeah.
And then he shoots the other guy, shoots the third guy
In the
as
leg,
he's running away,
Yeah.
and kind of goes out, and it's like you have that moment of like, what is he gonna do? That was just so intense, and it seemingly came out of nowhere. I thought that was such a strong way to take this movie.
Sure.
And like they committed to. We see it later when he kills Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Where it just also comes out of nowhere, and it's such an intense scene, and they like hold on it, and we see it a whole bunch of times on screens everywhere afterwards. I liked them going with something so
visceral.
Yeah, exactly.
Grounded, right?
Yeah.
And it was that thing of like the moment after each one of those kills isn't followed up with the exception. I mean, the subway happens quick, but I mean, it isn't. It's followed up with usually a beat.
Yeah.
To really like. This just happened. He is dead. That person is dead. There is no coming back from this. Something has changed in this world.
But even in the subway, I felt like there was a fraction of a second held longer than you would expect for someone that is trying to fend off and like save himself.
Yeah.
I liked that aspect of it. I liked them taking the story that way of this guy who's falling apart and no longer has his medication and everything's becoming worse. What I didn't like is then these murders that happen on the subway suddenly get glorified with nothing backing them up. It didn't make any sense at all to me. Like, how is it that 3 people get killed on a train suddenly becomes fuck the rich people? Because it's just
I totally agree with you. This is what I'm talking about. I think of like a comic book piece of logic put into a film where you look at it in a different way. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, right. These 3 Wayne investment dudes get killed. They suck. It's from what we see on the train, right? But nobody knows that.
Right.
Thomas Wayne's on the TV being like, "Hey, yeah, like this is crazy," and he's the one who kind of antagonizes them, right? By saying,
calling them clowns.
"Yeah, the people who do this are clowns," right?
But
I'm still
that
with
didn't
you.
seem a big enough jump to get
Totally,
everyone.
I'm with you.
And
like,
it's also like he was dressed up as a clown. It was like, it wasn't like he pulled that out of.
And it's back to what we were talking about earlier of like the garbage thing, and it's a city on the brink, and but it's like it's still asking us to come a little bit too far on that leap of logic that this was the rallying cry, the common people, right? That's what they needed to hear.
I wish we had gotten a little, because I feel like a solution for this would have been simple in that the girl that was being harassed, I wish she had stayed a little bit longer so she could have had her side being like, no, these were all assholes that were like attacking and beating him up.
I think
because then that would have been a pillar that like that everyone could have rallied around.
And I know again the time line, like literally of where they are in history, makes it tough. But like a closed circuit television would have done it too, right? If they're like, "You fucking poor piece of shit, we don't need you, we're fucking," and like that's why I don't write movies,
right?
But really driving home the fact of like we're the upper class, you're the fucking shit, you don't matter, blah blah. You know what I mean? And then you see him, and then it is this argument, right? Of is he a vigilante or is he a criminal? Because the paper started doing that, and like.
Right away.
Missing that, like taking the leap out of it, I really enjoyed it's the Batman story on a different side of the coin, right? Of like, he's a mask, and even when Thomas Wayne's talking shit about people wearing masks, and then it says a vigilante, I was like, yeah, that's really cool. Except they wouldn't know any of this. Just a clown killed 3 people on the train. Like,
this is something you should be afraid of.
Yeah. Why are we jumping to glorifying it? And doing it? It didn't make sense on that front.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay. Like it's it's like any other thing in a movie or a comic book, right? Where you're like, all right, that's what we're doing, I guess. And I don't know if I like how we got there, but once I don't like the plot device that gets us there. But when we were there, then it was like, all right, these are interesting conversations and where we're going and stuff. If you can ignore that for a second.
Now to go to something I liked. I really liked the way they set up the Joker, like who was his father and his mom not being a trustable narrative.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, your dad was Thomas Wayne and we kept it a secret. They faked all this stuff to like say that it wasn't like the case. And like that was vague enough, I think, where it's like by the end of it you get the feeling that like, oh no, she's actually out of her mind and was delusional, but then there's a little hint at like maybe not. Maybe this was something real.
When we were coming into this and this movie got announced, I remember so many people being like, no, Joker doesn't have an origin. He shouldn't have an origin. We shouldn't know his real name. We shouldn't blah, blah, blah. And I thought it was such a clever way of, like, I felt pretty proud of myself because I'm usually a moron. I leaned over to Joey like 4 seconds before it happened. I'm like, Thomas Wayne's his dad. Like, and then it happened and it was
but
like.
See, that was one of those things that like, when she was like talking about writing the letters 15 minutes earlier, I was like, oh, he's the dad.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that I felt was so telegraphed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was a little slow on the uptick on that one, but once I did, I put I was like, why would he take care? I was like, why would he help us, Mom? It was like 30 years ago. I was like, anyways, though, when we're I fucking lost it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But I was gonna say when he was like, Mom, you worked for him 30 years ago. I was like, oh, you're about 30. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then again, when it was like, oh, she made it all up, I felt like that was a little telegraphed too.
Well, see, anyways, the origin stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, the Joker shouldn't have an origin. You know, in the comics, he tells multiple different origins, then you don't know what's real and what's fake, right? I really did like that by the time we got there and we walked out, you immediately were like, oh, he's his son. I'm like, is he? And like, why would he have the signed photo? I'm like, can we trust the signed photo? Did the mom do that too? And it was that thing of like, even when he like has the adoption papers and it's like, no name, the baby's abandoned. It's like, okay. I like how they're paying homage in this movie to what an origin story for the Joker is in the comics.
Right.
Where it is like, yeah, who is he?
Yeah.
There's a scene that I loved and immediately hated that I want to talk about that has to do with all of this. The scene where he goes to try to talk to Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
And instead it sees a young Bruce hanging out in the jungle gym. What?
I said, now I know where you're going with this. Sorry.
Hang out in the jungle gym. Because there was a moment where he's a clown. He's an entertainer. He's trying to, like, we've seen him interact with little kids and try to get them to smile. Like, that's his default thing when he sees a kid. I get that, and he does that with Thomas. And doesn't get him to smile.
Oh, Bruce. You mean Bruce.
Yes, Bruce. Sorry.
No, that's fine. When he's walking along the hedge.
Yeah. He's giving a little show.
Yeah.
And he's not smiling, right?
Yeah.
And then it breaks it when he walks over and, like, puts his fingers in his mouth and puts a smile on him. Where it's just like, this was a cool moment to me of like this guy that thinks that he's seeing his brother for the first time and trying to like make a connection to suddenly so outrageous to something that like, there's no way that Bruce would have stood there and let this stranger put his, you think
totally would? Yeah, kids. I mean, I'm not even like making a great joke of
in your
stupid
mouth?
shit. Yeah, like,
because like if it had just been the cheeks, I feel like that would have been more realistic.
I mean, I mean, like we're treading into thin ice here in many different ways, and I'm not trying to fall into it. But I mean, like how do kids get molested? Right? It's because they believe in adults. They think that, so. Like if an adult is there, and like again, Bruce, all intents and purposes, right, is what a sheltered kid who like really only sees his dad and Pennyworth and mom. Like I mean, there's it escalates in a slow enough way to get there that and like. To take Bruce out of it, who I think is just like all of a sudden, you're shocked when this started happening by an adult. I think it's also interesting for Arthur, right? Who I took it as, call back to the first scene where he did it to himself, right? Where he's kind of looking for himself in Bruce's face to see, do you look like me? Am I you?
Yeah.
And then, and that was the thing too of like, we talked about this of I tried to stay as much media blackout as I could. So I watched the trailers and really didn't pay attention to anything else. And so I hadn't really thought about him interacting with Bruce. I hadn't really thought about him interacting too much with Thomas. To get him at Wayne Manor to have Alfred Pennyworth run over, I was like, it's fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's rad. And like, it'd be, again, a totally different Alfred from what we've seen in any of the comics, right? A burlier dude or whatever. I thought that was cool.
I loved how they set up Thomas Wayne in this movie. I thought they did a really good job of showing someone that wasn't what you normally think of in an origin story.
He wasn't a saint, right?
It was more ambiguous. Where it's like, is this guy an asshole?
And again, where we were coming back to it in the car talking about it, where I think, for me personally, Telltale's Batman series is really the first thing that ever opened me up to like, all right, maybe the Waynes aren't a good person. And I know there's plenty of comics who have done stuff with that before, but I think that was the one that did it so well. So that what you're talking about, that ambiguity. where like he's filibustering on TV, right, and talking shit about masks and crap. You're like, whatever. And then to have that moment of him in the bathroom where he's not immediately like, hey, can I help you out? What's going on? It is like, hey man, what's up? You want an autograph? Like he's like not a good guy or a bad guy. He's a guy. He's a guy in the bathroom with this weird guy in the bathroom.
And then that situation very quickly becomes
Escalates.
like, no, your mom's crazy. I guess she never told you these things. And, because Arthur is not in a good mind state, like he starts losing it right away. And that leads to him or Thomas punching him in the face. And it's like, wow, this guy seems like an asshole. Granted, I know that his kid was just had a terrible incident.
If you put your fucking fingers in my kid's mouth, the punch in the nose is the least of your problems you're gonna get if you run into me in the bathroom alone.
Absolutely, but it is. I just felt like I couldn't tell how much he knew and how much that was just who he was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I love that. Right, that's the thing about this movie that it does so well is that it plays with that for everybody of these gray areas of like, okay, cool, like I get your like even like Arthur letting the other clown out of the apartment. You're like, and only killing Murray. It's like, okay, so you're not totally gone. You are out this for revenge to take out people who have wronged you or you think are wronging society. Like, it's fascinating. Yeah. And that's the thing about the movie. It's a fascinating movie just to sit here and talk about.
Yeah.
Another leap in logic moment that happened that, like, I don't know, it just bothers me. The whole, him being a huge fan of Murphy and Murray, and them using his clip.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I feel like they should have set that up a little bit. They do this at that pogo place.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool because then we would have had that connection. Otherwise, now it's just so convenient. And for a while, I was like, is this a dream? Is this something he's dreaming?
Yeah, and that was another thing I liked about the movie was that, like, because again, to where we're talking about earlier in spoiler free, telegraphing moves, like, right? Like where his neighbor comes down the hall and like, were you following me today? And he's like, yeah.
The reaction.
And they have like a cute little dialogue. I'll get my gun. I can rob you tomorrow. And she walks away.
Funny,
and I was like, if this isn't fake, Jen will walk out of the theater right here. And it's that thing of like, as it goes, you're like, all right, cool. Clearly this is totally fake. But then it did get in my head of like, all right, so what is real? Right. Like, are we gonna when we cut back to the comedy club? Is it gonna be him in an empty room, like he broke in, talking to no one? And then when we're on Murray's thing and he came out and he was super laid back and killing it, it was like, is he still backstage right now, imagining what's about to happen? And in reality, no, it's that his dream state is blending into who the Joker is, right? Yeah. That's the Joker. That he can do anything in the dream world. So now his world is, and I liked that bouncing back of them not being sure suddenly. And I was then watching the movie like trying to figure stuff out of like, wait, if they show something at night or day, like, does that matter? Is this the thing? Like,
yeah, the whole Zazie Beetz storyline was so interesting.
Is that the neighbor?
Like, yeah. Like, what is this? Like, there's no way that this is a thing, but like, who the fuck knows? I don't know. There's so many moments I feel like with the female characters that feel real and like, oh, these are things that a lot, if not all women have experienced, but there's still something about them that didn't feel all the way right. I don't know. And I don't feel like I normally am good at picking up on stuff like that in movies. I feel like I kind of just do the suspension of disbelief, but I don't know. Maybe it was because this was so hyper realistic that it stood out more to me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's that thing of like, right? Like, it's all from his perspective. And so that's the thing of like, if you want to talk about like the tropes of females in movies, right? Where it is like, oh, the woman in the movie is, oh, you're stalking me? Oh, that is so sweet. Now I'm going to be there. Oh, I'm going to be at the hospital bedside with you and I'll get you coffee and I'll be subservient in that way,
Laughing
right?
at the club, watching your first performance. All
like it is a weird thing that I'm not smart enough to talk about and like talk about film, but it is that thing of like, she's not portrayed well in the scenes because she's in his head because that's how he thinks she's portrayed. And so it's like, when we get to the reveal, that's an interesting thing, right? But even then it's like, I would have, even in that moment in her apartment, which again is left ambiguous. Did he do anything to her? Did he not? Did he just let her go?
There was the ambulance outside after, right?
Yeah, there was.
So like,
I would have like, who would have called?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I would have, maybe the daughter. I mean, she probably knows 911, right? I would have. There, I think they could have had a moment of him being like, I had a bad day. And her being like, I don't give a fuck. Get out of my, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm glad they
Mama
didn't go
Bear
that route just because like, I feel like in that situation, she handled it exactly like, hey, can you please leave? And I would have been dialing the police, but like, it is one of those situations
But
where it's
also,
like you
if
don't know
it's-
how unhinged this person is.
If
But I
it's
felt for
70s,
her.
80s, she's also not gonna have a cell phone, and that I feel like maybe changes.
She got a big old kitchen phone.
Yeah,
with
but
the
see,
monster.
I felt for her in that moment, especially again with the cell phone stuff, because it was her, him, her daughter behind her,
Exactly.
and the door out.
Right.
So it is that thing of like, I can't move to the kitchen to get the phone to leave an avenue to get to my daughter. Like, you know what I mean? With this strange man that I don't know, that we've interacted once in the hallway, and he's
which
got
was
this
such a
obsession.
weird interaction.
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like when he looked back and did it again, and it was like way more animated than she had done it. I was like, that's weird. And like,
Do you think that really happened? Do you think she looked back and like smiled at when he did that?
no, I mean, right? You gotta imagine.
Because I
no.
think again, like the dream state, Arthur is the Joker,
Mhm.
and he is gonna put himself out there and do that stuff. I bet
Mhm.
Arthur just walked down the hall and thought
Yeah.
all that happened.
What else? Oh, I wanted to also talk about him having the condition where he laughs
Sure.
uncontrollably when he's feeling emotions.
Yeah.
I thought, what an interesting and really cool way to bring tension to certain scenes.
Yeah.
Like right before he gets beaten up in the train, he starts laughing and he goes for the card and they stop him because they think he's going for something else. And it just, I felt like the fear that Joaquin Phoenix showed so well in his eyes at that moment, where it was just like, God, this feels like he is in really like serious danger right
Sure.
now. Yeah.
As a fan, right, as somebody's watched so much DC over his 36 years, right, I'm always amazed that people are still able to take a character 80 years old like the Joker, right, and find new things that I hadn't thought of. And the laughing at the wrong time, not even wrong time, laughing at inappropriate moments, that's how his body processes emotions, like when he gets shut down by the mom on the train or whatever. What I liked about it then being a unique laugh, a unique reason for it, it's that he does that like gasp where he's trying, it sounds painful.
And he's trying to fight it.
It's like, wow, like that is so impressive that I've never seen anyone interpret it that way or do anything like that.
Yeah. I think this whole movie is an interesting commentary on mental health, and like it balances all of these things, and I don't know that it always does it well. Like it is interesting that like he does really start to lose that barrier between like dream state and reality when the programs are canceled and he's not getting his medicine. And that's kind of when things escalate. But I think it is very, you have to balance it with not wanting to like totally like perpetuate all of these stigmas with mental health. Like
Of course.
It's a sensitive discussion and all of this stuff. So that's something that's also been lingering with me over the past little bit. But I do like that it's rooted in like real issues, and it's not just like he's just wacky.
Right.
Like you can see kind of the
There was
evolution.
a lot of abuse
and reasoning and stuff like that.
His life wasn't normal after that even.
Yeah.
One other thing that I wanted to touch on is I didn't like the like mob mentality that the city had and how quickly, like, I understand that they set up like, oh, you know, the city's on the edge, but I just felt like for it to go from normal shitty Gotham to like full on riots that, you know, push people to murder on the streets and crashing into cop cars, it's just such a like fantastical jump that it's just not real, you know?
Yeah. I'm with you as well, right? Because you figure they're all on the precipice of this, and they're all on this, you know, eat the rich kick of it, right?
Yeah.
And that they're the problem. And so to get to the moment where, again, so on the nose, Joker literally lays it all out, right? Of like, I'll tell you another joke. What happens when you cross a mentally ill person with dwindling services and blah? You get what you fucking deserve, and shoots him. Like, get what you fucking deserve is very powerful.
Yeah.
But then for that to be seen on TV and everybody be like, it's our time. And it would be like, you're not all on the edge. You're not all dealing with mental illness to this extent. Like, and so, but to go out there and do it, it was like, yeah, again, but again, it's that thing of the leap of comic book logic to see it in real life. You're like, meh. But then once we're out there, like I told you guys, I'm watching the thing. I'm like, oh man, I kept not wanting to end where it was going to end. I like where it ends. But like when we started panning out on the wall of TVs replaying it, I was like, you're not about to fucking cut the movie here.
I was going to be so mad.
And then when they're driving in the
See, I was okay. I was ready for that to be the moment where it
want that,
ends.
man.
I would have been.
And then when they were driving in the cop car and he's laughing and I didn't want, or just looking out the window, I thought we were about to end. I'm like, don't end it here. And then why are you laughing while the ambulance hits him? and they climb out in the masks and they pull them out. And then I was like, oh, again, what a interesting grounded way to do this. Because every time you play any of the Arkham games, you read a comic like, why the fuck would anyone be in the Joker's crew? You're gonna get killed. He doesn't care. Oh, this movie's done it where he's the champion of you. He's the champion of the downtrodden. He is, they don't know this yet, but he is only killing people that really cross him or fuck with him. So yeah, like you're all there with the masks. You feel beaten. You feel like this guy's standing up to the man kind of shit. I was like, that's really interesting. I don't know if it would be the thousands of people in the road it was, but again, I like where we end up. I don't know if I like how we got there.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest problem that I had with this movie, where it's just like, this doesn't feel like a believable world. So many aspects of it did.
Yeah.
But like,
then when you get to one that like doesn't, you're like, well, that kind of sours the rest. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just like, that's why I like going through it right now with you guys is awesome, because like there's so many good moments where we're like touching on where it's like, yeah, that was really cool. But just overall, it was too just disjointed to believe, and much of it was believable that unfortunately it loses me. You know.
See, that's the thing, is like talking about it with you guys. I'm getting more and more excited to go see it with Jen tomorrow to have these conversations in the Uber.
Yeah. There was one last thing I wanted to touch on.
If the Uber driver says it's okay,
you ask permission.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to see the movie.
Oh,
that's the worst.
I didn't even think about that.
We'll do it all the time. Like, hey, he's like, well, usually they'll ask, what did you see? We saw this. I'm like, do you care about it? No. Okay, great. Let's go. Or I've had it before. Yeah, I do. Okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
One last thing that I do want to touch on is I feel like when Suicide Squad came out, we had Nick kind of being like, no, Nick was like, it's not cool to see characters be redeemed, like where it's like, these are bad guys. Like, we don't want to see Harley Quinn have like, or these people have background stories that are like, oh, maybe they're not so bad. And I feel like thanks man, this movie does a good job of like, we do see those aspects, but I feel like he goes too far to the extreme where it doesn't necessarily set him up as a redeemable character. It's more of like, here's the creation
you understand
of a
why.
I feel they give you enough chances where I agree. He's irredeemable based on what he does and all this different stuff. But there was enough chances after the first killings, because even then he's defending himself, right? Like, it's this where I personally wanted to reach through the screen and grab him and be like, hey, are you okay? Because it's like that thing is like, I don't think Arthur is that bad of a guy for most. I mean, he's all I have is bad thoughts. Like, I understand that like he's struggling, and you see him go down and I'm not justifying or saying he's redeemable or anything like that, but it's that thing of, I did want to talk to him and be like, because all he needed, was one person to be like, hey man, I hear you. Let's get a beer. Let's talk this out. What's going on? You know what I mean? And have a real friend, not someone in his head, not someone who just wanted to make fun of him, right? Especially for it to be Maury, right? Who is like a father figure to him, right? And, and to see him then see it on TV, understand he's being made fun of, want to be on the show, get there, and then even
planning to kill himself,
nailing the interview, right? And then it switches in his head of like, wait, no, you're fucking making fun of me too. This is all here to make fun of me. Yeah, it's the more I talk about it, the more I don't want to say I like it, because it's a weird thing to like, but I enjoy this conversation so much.
I do too.
Yeah,
You
know what I mean? I do too as well. Yeah. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's such an interesting movie, and I guess the more I talk about it, the more I do appreciate it. And
I appreciate it. That's a good way to put it.
I don't know. I feel like I want to see it again. I don't think I can go tomorrow night. Like, I think I want a little bit more time to breathe.
That's the thing. Jen's like, so we're going to Alamo to get some cheese fries. I'm like, I don't know if it's a cheese fries movie, babe, but all right.
Every movie's a cheese fries.
You might need several glasses of wine to get through it. But
I really liked it, and I like this conversation we're having. Again, me saying I liked it isn't me saying there's no problems with it.
Right,
totally.
of course.
Obviously, but
Okay.
Cool. I like, and I know we've talked about this. We've talked a lot about like the aesthetic of the city, the time period, all that stuff. I also appreciated, and this sounds weird, and I'm not going to say it right, but the font of like the way Joker is in the beginning, and then the way they roll credits. Like, it feels like a movie from the early 80s, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was an interesting way to start with his name coming up, and like, oh, it's contrasting the harsh, crazy tone of the real world they set up. That also immediately kind of is like, they're super rats, and it's like, what is this world? Yeah. Anyways, so go check it out if these things, if you want to have these conversations with your friends. Let's try to get Barrett's attention.
Shout out to Affleck as well.
No, there's no Barrett.
No,
Affleck, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Ben Affleck. It's a funny little thing.
Sorry.
Funny nod, you know.
Yeah.
Hi, Barrett. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Barrett.
So it's terrible. All right, got it.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about it for
Talk shit for an
40
hour.
minutes. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much for joining us. I have been your host. You can follow me on social media. Man, I messed that up. I've been your host, Kevin Coelho. You can follow me on social media at Kinda Funny Kevin. You can follow Joey at Joey Noel. You can follow Greg at Game Over Greggy on all the social medias there. Go and watch something. Maybe check out The Joker. Definitely tell me what you think about it, whether it be on Patreon or on the social medias. I want to hear your thoughts. Oh wait, it's not the end
Tag
of the
me
week,
too.
but wewe'll see you guys tomorrow for Internet Explorers.
Bye.
Games Daily.
Games Daily.
Games Daily.